Hello everyone and welcome back to EPIC44 with Intel, sponsored by ASUS, Republic of Gamers and Overclockers. I'm Panda Richie and I'm joined by the lovely Shiva. Hello.
Hello. First time casting.
Yes, indeed.
And we got a banger match to do it too. Once again, the rematch of 7F and TFT. I think two teams really good on paper. Unfortunately though, last time they played, although the match itself was brilliant, the scoreline didn't indicate that.
Yes.
2-0 sets, 13-3 both maps in favor of 7F. Now falling to Willie G Palace previously in the winners finals, trying to get themselves back into that grand final slot.
That they are. So we are doing our last game of the day, the lower finals of the EPIC VALORANT tournament, sponsored by ASUS, Republic of Gamers. So let's hope this final game goes off with a bang to end the night.
I'd love to see it go off in a bang, man. I mean, the last match these guys played, it was not long ago at all. The match seemed so exciting, yet the scoreline seemed so one-sided.
Yeah.
I hope this time TFT are able to finally close in those rounds.
Yeah, I mean, now that they're essentially rematching, right,
Yeah.
going into the lower finals. So maybe TFT, now that they've sussed out 7F a little bit more, maybe, they've learned from some of their mistakes and they could probably, improve their scoreline and maybe potentially take it to 3 maps.
Yeah, that's the hope, right? We really want to see 3 maps. We want to see a great movie of a match until we get into that grand finals. Willie G Palace against 7F, although a great match, ended up being a 2-0. We haven't seen that many full maps go full series go the maps, right? We want to see that make the distance and hopefully have a much fun match ahead of us.
Exactly. That being said, in terms of map pools and everything, have you found that this series throughout this LAN has been very there's been a theme in terms of consistent map picks?
Too many flowers around here, bro. There's a lot of Lotus going on throughout this match. We've also seen quite a bit of Pearl present in this. So, it's been a little lame in terms of the map's quality. But who knows? Because these guys are rematching, maybe we'll see something different. Maybe these guys will alternate and switch things up. We've seen too much Lotus, man. We've also seen a bit too much Pearl.
Yes.
Let's just hope we get a few different maps.
Yeah.
I get it, though. They're really popular maps. They're very they open up a lot of creative options for these teams. So I get it. I know why they want to play Lotus. I know that particularly TFT really like their Lotus.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to either, one, see them pick it into again, or even 7F, maybe a little bit afraid, maybe going into a ban for that one. It really does depend on the differences between those last matches, how they felt between the matches in between their previous match. Maybe that information will give them a bit of a different idea of their pick and ban stage. That's what my guess is, at least. What do you think?
Interesting. I feel like we're probably going to be seeing the consistent maps, right? Haven, Lotus, Pearl, those 3 staples. But to be fair, today I was very lucky to cast a Bind and an Abyss map today.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So we are seeing Lotus, Bind, and Haven as our decider, which is quite interesting.
Hey, you mentioned you got 2 out of the 3.
Yeah, I know. So, yeah, TFT, you call that exactly right. So they're the ones to pick Lotus, and we have got 7F on defense. Bind is going to be 7F's pick, and TFT are going to be on defense to start off with. And then if it goes all the way to the distance, we are going to be seeing Haven. So very comfortable map picks for, I'd say, both teams throughout this entire series.
Yeah, agreed. Bind is a map that a lot of the players from Willie G Palace of last Epic, which has quite a few of the players still in 7F, they were a big fan of Bind. They played it very often. Corsa particularly was a huge performer on the Fade, loves this kind of map, so I'm willing to bet 7F have a lot of already well choreographed and planned out executes. Not surprised to see this one picked at all. Lotus, we've already talked about it, right? Although both teams very good, TFT constantly tell us that they just love this map for a multitude of reasons. First off, their duelist player, Song Jun-woo, loves the aggressive operator play, and with the versatility of both having a long-range angle on both Mound of Seaside and I always forget their name. Long A, just the long area of A. Rubble, that's it. Rubble of A site. I got my mind blocked there for a second. Rubble of A site. You have so many options for operator play, and for a player as aggressive as John Woo on that jet, very likely to see that continue.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it opens up a lot of room for versatility and creativity. But now that with, the new agent, Teo, thrown into the mix, have you been seeing a lot of Teo this LAN?
I've surprisingly not as much as I expected. I know that Teo is a very oppressive force in the meta right now. You see it almost everywhere in Tier 1 and Tier 2. Tier 3 is almost at that stage where they know he's good and they're playing him every now and again, but some teams are not comfortable enough on him just yet. So I haven't seen him as often as I'd hoped to. Same on top of that, we haven't seen a lot of Vice Teo play together very often. Sometimes we do see it, sometimes we don't, but generally, it's often either the best team's comfortable enough to go with that Taeho Vise, or they'll run something of themselves. I know last time I casted Lotus, I saw the Taeho Killjoy together against another team that didn't have Killjoy but had Taeho on the other side. That led to a few strange conundrums of both options. So I'm really interested to see if the comps will change on Lotus for both sides. I know, for example, 7F, probably one of the most qualified teams to run most recent meta comps, considering how much of an absurd powerhouse their roster is. So much experience. Probably the closest UK players we have to Tier 2 teams. So I'm really curious on what's going to happen in that regard.
That is true. That is going to be very, very interesting indeed. So, going into this final series of today, what is your predicted scoreline for this match?
My predicted scoreline, I mean, 7F are, without a shadow of a doubt, one of the favorites to win this entire tournament, and it goes to show not only in their performance already, but in the roster that have shown stats in the past. You know, you've had multiple multi-epic winning champions on this team, an absurdly strong roster, practically a super team, basically an epic line super team. So it feels really silly to not really predict 7F to win this series, but I have a lot of faith in TFT. Not only I just love their playstyle. On top of that, I know some people on the team. They've spoken to me quite a bit. They tell me about how excited they are and how ready they are, even if they underperformed previously. So I have faith that TFT will make this a better series. I want that to happen. I really do. That being said, I'm going to go with a much more optimistic vote, and I'm going to say 7F 2-1.
Okay.
I'm going to assume that TFT have figured something out on Lotus and pop off that way. Bind, most likely going to be a very dominant 7F showing, and then you got that clean middle ground with Haven.
You know, I think I'd agree with you. I'm thinking 2-1. Yeah, I think we're going to go for the full distance day, all 3 maps, and I think 7F is going to be the ones coming out on top. But I think the scoreline is going to be a lot closer than it has been.
I really hope so.
The past.
Last time these guys played, it felt like the scoreline was a lie. It was like it was a fraudulent scoreline. Every single round was neck and neck. It felt like any side could win at any moment. So many clutch moments from both sides, so many outplays, and so many well choreographed executes from both sides. It was amazing. Brilliant to watch. So I really hope the scoreline now is a lot closer to represent how good this match really could be. Fleece Troopers, a roster of only 2 of their previous bronze medalist roster in EPIC44, with a lot of new players of very high caliber, slicing Sunjin Woo and Glaceon to fill those previous rosters, with Zaphis and Xeno being the veterans of the last Epic event that they got 3rd place in. So I have seen a lot of impressive things from every single member of this TFT team. Whether or not it will contest well against 7F, we'll have to wait and see. But one thing is for sure, these rosters are very different. Not at all compared to what I saw previously. You've got, first off, immediately the ISO logged in from Cubfu on 7F.
Yeah, I know. Looking the agent select right now, you know, very diverse roster that we're going in with, right? So we've got Waddles hovering over, the Neon Corsa locking in that fade, and then it's just Bark locking in that breach. So, you know, a pretty nice composition that 7F are running. TFT, you know, they've got the Taeho on their side along with the Vice. You know, you were saying that you weren't seeing too much of Vice and Taeho, you know, being played together, but we've now been blessed with that combination brought here on Lotus. So it's going to be very interesting to see how, you know, they're going to be playing off of each other. You know, Vice, not the newer, like one of the newer agents, right? Her sheer being able to wall off, like, and isolate a player, right? Very, very powerful tool. You know, it forces teams in order to try bait it out, and there is that risk of, you know, being closed off. And then now that, you know, there's been a bit of time for, you know, players to understand her kit, you started to see a lot more. But, you know, Taeho, simple kit, right?
Exactly,
but incredibly powerful.
Yeah, I agree. Taeho has taken the competitive scene by storm. His utility is so versatile and so easy to understand for the higher level of teams. Granted, maybe a bit difficult to use in a consistent mechanical sense, but in terms of understanding choreograph executes, it's a cakewalk. You can just immediately plan the use of the missiles, the use of the concuss to plan aggressive takes onto the site, for example, and that has been a big factor in this agent. That being said, though, you see the double Sentinel whipped out from TFT. You see the deadlock there as well. Outside of that, though, pretty typical. Omen, Jet, on top of that, and already into the battle onto A main, slices with a double kill with the Taeho on the Ghost, and Jung Woo wants to try and get a piece of his own pie, and so much damage is being thrown here. Cubfu gets one into Xeno, thankfully, almost dying, but keeping his shield up, and it's suddenly gone into an even ground in favor of TFT for this retake.
Yeah, now with that spike getting planted now, 7F are at a one-man deficit, 3-4, but you can see that Junwoo is on a very low HP, and Corsa is going to catch Glaceon that was on the flank right there, so numbers have been evened out. Club through, swinging onto Slicings after getting that flashpoint. One coming out, sussing them out, but look at where Corsa is positioned.
Yeah, Junwoo very low HP, taken down very quickly by Kubfu. Zaphiz may get a stun to kill onto Bark, but outside of that, it's Corsa to finish it off, with the ISO also left alive. It was a very well-executed, aggressive hold of that A site. You noticed Corsa lurking around the back of Rubble as well. It was a really well-done execute. Yeah,
it was really, really nicely done. I like the idea from Glaceon to try go for the flank, but Corsa just had the initiative, understand the gameplay, that game sense really coming through. You can show the experience in that first round, just holding the angle by Rubble, just waiting for anyone to, get a bit overzealous, bite off more than they can chew, and then Corsa read them like a book. And going into this next round, they're going to be healthy in the utility.
Oh, very aggressive push from Waddles. Junwoo's revealed here. Could be a bit of damage thrown through the wall. He's stunned, he's blind, he's got everything, but the Bucky's in hand, and they're both trapped in the corner. Bark with 2 of the aftershock. Junwoo managed to get one before dying, but Corsa just keeps the bodies piled up here. Glaceon, Sheriff in hand, waiting for that smoke to fade to maybe get some damage done, but Hazza catches the Zerk from Zaphiz, and in turn, the numbers is all bound down to 1 here of Glaceon. Sheriff again in hand, but taken down by the Judge of Bark. Again, a aggressive slaughter here from 7F on this A site.
Yeah, that was a very, very aggressive push, and with the arsenal that 7F were running, the result was to be expected. And now going into the conversion round, TFT should have a better opportunity to take this next round, right? I mean, looking at the arsenal, we got Judge, Sheriff, Bulldog, 2 Vandals up against, essentially a full arsenal going on the side of TFT.
Yeah, throwing it back to the previous round real quickly, the synergies of utility that these guys used, loads of stuns just around the outside of that box area to force them inwards, and then the aftershock from Bark, so expertly done. It's a sign of really strong synergy of this team and an equal level of experience here. These guys are no joke, and TFT have already felt a bit of their wrath, but as they get into more aggression, Waddles runs into the site with a Judge kill onto Slicings, but doesn't catch out Glaceon. And with the plant coming down, Glaceon's going to be retreating a little bit, but goes straight back in and decapitates Kubfu. But with more damage coming through, they're finally taken down and evens it out. Makes it a 3v3. Son Jinwoo gets 1 onto Bark. Corsa, another one to Jinwoo to trade back and forth. Zaphiz with a beautiful flash to take down Hazza, but Corsa, a clutch king, able to pull magic for this team, regardless of weaponry, regardless of health. Can he replicate it once again here? Zaphiz is holding that corner, daring to wait to see his push, and he very much can. 1 kill to Corsa, but the defuse is there. TFT get that round.
Yeah, valiant effort from the side of 7F, going into that, those final moments of the post plant, but of course it's just not quite able to connect the bullets to the head of the members of TFT, right? Of course, like you said, clutch king, but wasn't able to fully close out, but, TFT able to secure the round, but a lot of damage was done on their end. You can see exactly, like looking at their economy, having to sacrifice like a lot of utility as well as the armor in order to, buy those heavy hitting guns, but it's, at great cost.
Yeah, I mean, you have to really thank that aggression from Glaceon, even though having so much damage thrown at them, knowingly needing to commit to that fight. And that managed to just bless TFT with a huge numbers advantage to get them the round. But as we get into a skirmish, it's a 5-man rush here of 7F. All of the members here, not even an attempt to lurk. You've got Junwoo and the deadlock of Glaceon joining in that flank, and it seems like TFT are making the right play. They're backing off and hesitating here as they start making the entry onto the site. Xeno's angle could be magical, but no joy just yet.
Not quite, but Glaceon on Junwoo, look at them. They've actually managed to get the successful flank off, but you can see that the Omen on the side of 7F is just lurking back, and has been notified as to where they are, but Glaceon will just be that much quicker on the trigger. But the spike has been planted, so time is against TFT. They've got to make sure that they start playing this retake pretty well, but Kung Fu starts off well, but Zaphiz is going to get the trade. That special delivery managed to find the stun, and Bark is going to take out Zaphiz, but Slicing is going to slice their prey to ribbons, and it's a 1 versus 3. Corsa, the clutch master, can they start it off? Yes, they can, and they get 3!
Corsa! Good lord, man!
Corsa is the last bastion, and they deliver justice to TFT.
That is why I hype a man up like him. Corsa, man. Formerly known as Wolverine for Oasis Verde last in EPIC44, and Wolverine in EPIC43 as well on the side of Willie G. One of the biggest prospects in this country and one of the biggest demons that you fear on this 7F roster. let alone the rest of their team. I mean, God, this roster is so absurd, but Corsa is the one man you dare look into the eyes of when you face him. It is a terrifying prospect to deal with, and that clutch might have just been a ginormous curse here onto TFT as their economy is in tatters here. Out comes the kill contract. Does only catches up Jinwoo. But that's one player that you're a little bit worried about. But with that marshal in hand, Jinwoo almost deals the right amount of damage. Zaphis dies off screen as well. Slicing gets one onto Waddles, but you still have that numbers disadvantage. Out comes the Nightfall, and it seems like 7F are choosing to back away, commit to a different site.
That they are. There's a bit of a scrappy start, you know, that kill contract coming out, and then that Nightfall, you know, denying any like form of, you know, audio spatial awareness for the side of TFT, and that's given them the opportunity to make their way through onto B site. And TFT are just going to allow 7F to just take the site, get the plant, and they're going to play for that post TP, right? Glaceon opening the door, gets spotted, easy work from Bark right there, and TFT's numbers are dwindling just as much as that spike timer is going down.
The ultimates are in hand as well. You have the Armageddon in the possession of Slicings, but I feel like now, with that Annihilation not available on Glaceon, it's not going to be able to be utilized to it. Seems like they're going to be taking their time. Xeno, thankfully, with a good angle on the Classic on Hazard, manages to pick up that Vandal as long as that smoke is in hand. Corsa, very aware of his presence, but thankfully doesn't get caught out too much. Slicing much in hand. Could get a lethal shot here onto Kavku, but not going to be the case. It is just Xeno on his own. 7F are hunting for him here as the spike goes off. Enough to secure the round here for 7F. Even if Corsa goes down, it is enough.
Yeah, Corsa unfortunate to, you know, get taken out by the spike there, but you know, TFT, bit of a difficult situation for them to, you know, try and come back in, and already they're pulling out the timeout. You know, it's probably a good opportunity for them to use this because they're 5 rounds in, right, and it's been a very dominant start for the side of 7S, and I don't think TFT were quite expecting that. That being said, though, on the side of TFT, they have got 4 ultimates at their disposal, right? So they could make some magic work.
Yeah, one thing that's important to know is that TFT are definitely aware of some of the protocols 7F are making. You notice Glaceon, despite dying to Bark, was very much ready to expect him waiting along that rubble area to catch anyone off on the rotate. TFT know a lot of the tricks that 7F are pulling, but not able to really win the gunfights. And I think that's the thing to keep note of, right? Multiple times, the thing that gets 7F those wins, Sage, although sometimes are also those really well done executes, it is the mechanical difference here. Every single member of the 7F team are superstars. And yes, TFT have a really, really strong team, but not as many members that can stand up to the mechanical prowess the 7F team has.
Yeah, 7F, you know, their micro skills, impeccable, right?
Yeah.
TFT, like you said, they've been understanding 7F's gameplay, and they're getting really good reads on them, but it's just those small, you know, minute nuances that are making the big difference, and that's allowing 7F to come out on top. And it's just those small differences that are just causing TFT to, you know, either win or lose those rounds, unfortunately for them.
Yeah, definitely. Next round to come through now. TFT have a lot of ultimates on hand, and they're investing their full financial build here. An aggressive push coming through here. Waddles with a judge in hand as well on that Neon. Really frightening if you can get this wall down. Glaceon's doing a really good job at shutting down this speed. Enough to give Jinwoo an opportunity on the rotation, as well as Slicings coming through water onto B. But look at this push here. There's a 5-man push, but comes out the Annihilation, takes Waddles away. Armageddon is going to force them away as well. He's not going to be free. It's a guaranteed kill onto the entry duelist here of 7F, and that's a giant takeaway here.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really, really good denial from Glaceon, but you can see on the side of 7F, Hazard managed to make their way around, but because they're having to break the door, they are going to give their position away.
Zaphis is clued in. Look, he's holding on. You know that they're going to be lurking around somewhere, and he wins the fight. Off screen, Glaceon does go down, so the site is a little bit more opened up, but that being said, still numbers advantage. Steal the Steel Guard on the hide of Zaphis, and Jinwoo does not disappoint with the Operator. A kill onto Corsa. Xeno gets the catch onto Bark through B, and it's just Kavfu left to watch as the bullets rain through. It is a round win for TFT, a very well done execute.
Yeah, a very, very convincing victory for TFT right there. Glaceon, you know, pivotal role, you know, in that start of the round. You know, being able to wall off, you know, C main, right, stopping any form of aggression from Waddles, and then as soon as, you know, 7F were throwing the Haunt, the Seize, you know, the Aftershock, Armageddon, the Relay Bowl, everything to try and isolate Glaceon, didn't even matter. Glaceon able to take out Waddles, stopped everything in their tracks.
Great understanding of knowing that Waddles is on his way to go for you. Having spotted Glaceon earlier on, they knew that they had no choice but to throw out that Annihilation, but it came to a very fruitful victory here. Hazard with the from the shadows. Sheriff in hand wants to go for a little bit of a flank, and the stun also does help him out to get the pick onto Glaceon. Now with the rifle in hand, the site is completely open here for 7F.
Yep, 7F are going to take that nice and easily. Leaving Glaceon on their own, unfortunately, without accounting for the from the shadows, has kind of cost TFT quite a fair bit, to be fair. But how are they going to respond to this retake now? With that door open, it's going to give them an opportunity, and oh, because of the ISO shield, they're going to live another day, but Slicing is going to take out Bark in the process, so the numbers are going to get even. Ryan Zappis holding up at the top of halls. Those guided salvos coming out, trying to zone the members, but it's Corsa that's going to be coming out on top, and oh, and the kill feed is lighting up all green on the side of the defenders as Zappis picks up 2. And wow. These rounds are starting to go in TFT's favor.
This is really well done retake plays here from TFT. You can see them not needing to overuse their utility. You had Glaceon backing up Jim Woo on the operator. When that shield is popped, while he's reloading the operator, Glaceon's coming out here and keeping that angle safe, not giving anyone an opportunity to go for a strong hold to stop them from peeking again. And although Corsa managed to take down Jim Woo, Glaceon played exceptionally well on counteracting that flank behind the angle there, and it was enough here. On top of that, running through, again, winning those mechanical 1v1s with still multiple ultimates intact, like that Steel Garden and that Blade Storm.
Yeah, exactly that. You know, TFT had to play for the retake at a disadvantage, but they didn't have to invest that much at all, and they came out big on that, right? But looks like 7F are going to go for a little bit more of an aggressive push over onto Rubble through A, and that stealth drone coming out,
this kill contract
suppressing, but no one's going to get caught in that kill contract because Slicing just managed to get out of its range in the nick of time, and 7F are just simply going to waltz in onto site. Waddles is just going to back up, providing that cover for Xeno.
Waddles slowly walking up. TFT are taking their time, but Waddles needs to get something. The Steel Garden is thrown out though, and that's a big deal. The moment that 7F are losing their weapons, they are running, they are fleeing, but nothing will stop the rest of TFT here as the site is now flooded in blue. As Slicings is on that defuse, Jung Woo takes down Bark, and it's just Corsa. So much that Corsa has done throughout this tournament, but only so much that he can do in situations like this.
Yeah, that was a very scrappy retake, but my goodness, TFT were able to use everything at their disposal that they needed to come out on top. The Steel Garden coming out, you know, Gravnex securing the players of 7F onto site, so even if they, you know, had an opportunity to get out, that Gravnet stopped it. They will just sit in ducks at that point.
Absolutely excellent timing of the Steel Garden there from Zappis. Exactly finding the right moment where they were too deep to stay safe on that, right? You don't have a lot of strong weaponry prepared for it because of your economy, so you are forced to run away for your life, praying that they don't make the most of that disadvantage, but they did. TFT, so much more regiment in their plans, right? It is just a beautiful sight to see, but you still have more rounds to win. This attack here from 7F, although slower, already taking a lot of early space here. You've got Zaphiz alongside Xeno, holding multiple angles here. And that drone does give away the information on Hazard with the Sheriff in hand. The weaponry very low for 7F. That's going to warrant some really high aggression very soon. Utility is no exception. The flash as well from the Primrose is going to delay the push, which is beautiful here if you are TFT. Zaphiz now taking a much more warranted angle. Out comes the shield. The blind soon to come out. Waddles is running. Spots one, but no damage. Zaphiz with 2. Continuing on the train here for 7F against 7F here. And they are now hesitant. Arc may get a lurk down onto Glaceon, but he is caught out not long after by Slicings. And that makes it a 4 versus 2, a 4 versus 1. Corsa a clutch king. Maybe the over-aggression could be a punishment here, and it might just be there, you know, but it won't be the case. Jim Woo finishes him off.
That being said, TFT finally got themselves in the lead. They've taken and overtaken 7F, right? 7F started off very dominantly, you know, 4-1, and now TFT winning the next 4 rounds back-to-back. And they are looking really strong. I had my doubts within the first 5 rounds about how TFT were actually playing, but they've completely turned up, and now this series is completely flipped on its head compared to when they first met earlier on today.
This is a great first half from them. However, you know, you still have to be a little bit worried. It is 5-4, and it's still quite close. Is the attack round going to spell the same differences here, right? One of the biggest issues that I saw with this TFT team against 7F was the ability to deal with their retakes. And I'm wondering if that's going to stick around with the attack side. But so far, this defensive side is really well contested. Still doing great against a team as tenured as 7F. That being said, Nightfall in the possession here of Corsa, as he does pop it on through the A site. It does tag out Zaphis, but only Zaphis alone here. And with the Thorns being used to great effect, it's going to slow down the push again.
Yeah, and with that Nightfall invested, yes, they were able to get Zaphis, but with the Razor Vine set up in perfect places, wasn't able to capitalize on it at all. And with that Grav Knight continuing to stall 7F's momentum, Xeno is going to just get taken out. Hazard finding one for themselves as well. And now they've got an opportunity to get that spike planted, but Slicings and Waddles are brushing each other, and is a hair's breadth away from death for either one of them. And Jinwoo on the flank gets one. Corsa responding with a trade, and Waddles is going to get stunned by that special delivery. Nice. Zaphis taking out Kubfu right there in Halls, and Connector Slicings taking out Waddles, and that's a huge advantage for the side of TFT. They've now managed to pinch the members of 7F, but it doesn't even matter because Corsa's just that much better.
Very nicely done there for the last two members of 7F, keeping themselves composed and not splitting up. They were aware of Zaphis' presence and they decided, okay, let's position ourselves so that that one slicing player in heaven cannot affect us for a good while. He's going to be forced to give himself away to way too many angles. Really well done there from 7F to focus on that one isolation on the separate side.
Yeah, it was really well played from both sides. You know, it started looking like in TFT's favor, right? The way they were playing the retake, they managed to get the kill into Connector. Then they managed to take out Waddles, two key players in their positions of where they were situated, but they left Corsa alive.
Yep. When Corsa lives, you still have to be a little bit scared no matter where you are. That being said, though, it's another aggressive take. Zaphis this time, Odin in hand, enduring a ton of aggressive utility, and he's caught off guard with Waddles on the Judge of the Neon here, and he takes the Odin in his own hands and takes down Slicings instead of running in with the Judge again. Kubfu as well onto Xeno off screen. The plant is down with not a lot of utility left on the hands of TFT for this retake. 7F as well with the 1 point away from the overdrive, and with the Rolling Thunder also in their possession. TFT are forced to just back away, especially with Jinwoo still holding on to that operator. Yeah,
TFT are just forced to save right now, but you can see on the map that Hazard is making their way through B, trying to just see if they can sneakily make the way and find any kills from any unexpected members of the side of TFT. And they've decided to, you know, wrap around the long way. They're going to go for a bit of a scenic route, but Jinwoo turned and called the right timing. Are they going to see? Oh, no shield on the side of Kubfu, and Glaceon and Jinwoo find a kill for themselves. Glaceon peeking out, takes down Waddles, and all of a sudden TFT are getting more than we initially thought. And they're getting even more than that, and all of a sudden the numbers just go in favor. Can they find a fifth? Yes, they can. Cleaning up house. I don't know what was going on through 7F's mind, but that was not the play that they needed to do.
That was sloppy from 7F, and that's going to be a rare moment where you see that. You do not need to be splitting up that often. When your shield's out, for example, you saw Kubfu still eagerly going onto those angles and looking for people. You only need one lurking Hazard. You can't be constantly going one by one at this slow of a pace. You either commit together or you let one go, either live or die and survive with your weaponry. The winning of the round is good for 7F, rounds around, but this loss of financials is really rough. However, you see the Armageddon split in so many members here, but it still doesn't mean anything. TFT are wiping the floor. 3 members down. Corsa as well. The Clutch King is off, but down comes the kill contract. An opportunity to even out the playing field here. Glaceon, very capable one. So many 1v1s, but not this time against Kubfu. It still is, though, a 2 versus 3. Are they going to be able to find the opportunity to take the bomb down as all the members of TFT are raining into that A site?
They have got an opportunity to make their way over to B side, but they're opting to go through the tree. Rolling Thunder coming out. They're gonna fully commit, full send it. Slicing's gonna get caught at the back over there. Oh, but Jinwoo's got an operator in their hand, so they're gonna be denying a lot from the side of 7F and Kubfu, all on their lonesome. All they've got is a Vandal, a full shield, a wall, and a vulnerability. Oh, but that special delivery is going to be delivering something quite special, and the headshot gets delivered into Kubfu, but Slicing's going to make quick work, and it's going to be a 6-6 first half.
It's been a great display from both sides, man. I mean, you have seen some great plays from both members, both teams here. And that ending round from TFT is really, really good and very promising of their confidence. That being said, though, Corsa is a player you feared throughout this entire match, and that KD speaks very much little doubt. That is a crazy scoreline for such a close series so far. And this offensive half is going to be essential for TFT. Are they going to change their fates here on this attack side? Because last time they did these attack-sided maps, it was a rough scenario, not being able to deal with the retakes here of 7F. Is that going to replicate this time?
Maybe. I mean, with TFT, you know, picking Lotus, it's really shown that they are very, very comfortable with this map. 7F's experience is just shining through, but TFT's comfort is able to keep them in the game, right?
Team like TFT love their confident gunfights, even if they're against a team so mechanically gifted individuals. Players like Jim Woo are a clear examples of their confidence. Glaceon going to be taking the first rain hit, just barely misses Corsa's crosshair. Maybe good timing as Xeno is still very much aware. Also gives away his position as TFT slowly moved into that A site. Almost uncontested now. It's another slow retake for 7F. This could be very scary. It
can be indeed, and what might be scary is Junwoo might be facing down multiple barrels of the side of 7F. If they're not careful, not able to get a tag, but they are going to keep confident and stay up there on the top of heaven. But Waddle's going to make swift work. Glaceon with the trade like you spotted, and Zaphis holding back on the lurk just in case any of the members of 7F decided to lurk. Oh, and Xeno's going to get taken out by Bark, and now 7F are making the green light go. Oh, but it doesn't even matter because it's all lit up red in the kill feed, and Zaphis gets very, very quick kills right there.
Excellent timing on the lurk from Zaphis. That smoke shrouded his lurk, covered that up front for himself. Really nicely done there from TFT, and being able to perform that pincer play to take out the aggressors going onto the site to try and entrap Glaceon. It was good enough. Really well done from TFT.
Yeah, now going into this attacking round, you know, the buy round for the side of TFT, they've got a very good arsenal in their back pocket. 7F, you know, two of the members opting to pick up Sheriffs, you know, Cubfu and Corsa, you know, those would be the two people on my team I would be wanting to buy Sheriffs, if out of anyone, right? But with that Outlaw, it's a very, very deadly weapon, right?
Nice
oh
shot.
My goodness.
Are you going to be aware of the second, though? You are, but you may get the miss down. Cubfu's backing away, not daring to go into that Outlaw now that it's been spotted.
Yeah, unfortunately for Bark, right? Able to get the flashpoint off, but at the cost of their life, and Cubfu was not able to follow up on that, so unfortunately it was just not that worthwhile. But with these buy rounds, you know, 7F is going to be understandably at a deficit. Corsa getting a really good read, you know, on the potential of Zaphis being back at spawn. They spot the shear, right? Not opting to go further forward. You know, that C door opening up, trying to bait 7F into rotating over to B, but you know, look how many members of 7F are already on B. They're not going to be biting that.
Aggressive push coming into now from TFT. After establishing where other people may be, they decided to go with this aggressive play. Very low weaponry here from 7F, so this should be a clean fight. But that being said, you still have to be a little bit worried of players like Cubfu and Waddles, even Corsa in the back line here, going through B. But Jim Woo, a marvel on these scoped weapons. The rest of 7F, way too afraid to willingly go into this without a plan. They're taking their time, giving their options away here. And you can see the shield on the hands of Cubfu with the slide as well here on the side of Waddles. Classic on a Neon. One weapon combo that usually isn't the strongest, but with Neon is very terrifying. Are they going to do anything with this? It seems like they're going to prioritize the extra frags. Shields out here from Cubfu, double tap activated. With the spike soon about to detonate, it's just a firing range he's going to walk into. With more members of 7F to bump into, Slicing is just very patient, and they do end up falling to the spike. Nicely done towards the very end. That was almost really scary. Yeah,
no, flawless round coming up from TFT, and now they're 2 rounds ahead. They're going into the conversion round. TFT, because they've got a flawless, they don't have to worry about breaking their economy or breaking the bank. They're just going to go into this next round, you know, with full confidence, and you know, if it gives TFT, right, a much better fighting chance of actually taking this conversion round. On paper, you're going to expect 7F to win, right? You know, if you lose pistol, you're going to lose the next round. Then you should be winning the round following after that. But TFT didn't lose a single player, and you know, the odds of 7F winning now have been heavily reduced.
With that being said, though, look at that aggressive spam coming through on the side of TFT. Not able to find anybody. You gotta keep in mind, man, although it may not do some execution kills, this damage from the Outlaw could still be very valuable. The stun timing is wrong, but Waddles slides in a drive-through headshot onto Zaphis. Finish straight afterwards here from Jumble on that Outlaw. He wants to pick up that Guardian. He does succeed in getting so. Aftershock going to establish some space. Cubfu not able to make the most of that shield from the stun earlier on with the sound detector.
Oh, And now Kubfu holding themselves in a really, really nice corner, right?
No John was the
Out
guardian.
of line of sight and have kept TFT completely unaware. So if Kubfu really wants to, they can go for a flank and TFT will be none the wiser. But slowly reconvening over onto Seaside with those guarded salvos going towards the back of elbow. It's going to allow them to clear out the side, but Hazard is sitting nice and pretty in that smoke, ready and waiting like a spider in a web. But unfortunately, they're just going to be taken out. The food chain is showing its prowess, and Slicings is going to be the one on top. And with that spike planted, 7F at a deficit. You know, on paper it should be their round, but TFT, they are fighting back. They are not letting up at all, and they are going to be taking this one, what could be nice and easy.
It almost feels a little bit like a difficulty with dealing with this composition that TFT are dealing with here. Bit of a surprise, right? You can see the use of the Vice and the Deadlock together has slowed down so much momentum from 7F. You almost don't know what to do. It feels a little bit odd to see something like this, right? Usually 7F, they are so calculated yet so willing to take these individual gunfights and win them to triumphant degrees, honestly. But it feels like not only are TFT so much more confident in their own gunfights, but they are really making great work of this Deadlock Taeho combination to not only secure out those specific angles to let Jinwoo play his aggressive style, but also to lock down afterwards. Deadlock is the last one to enter the site, and with that safety net applied with the rest of your team in front of you, you can just throw down the wall, throw down the sound scissor, throw down the nade, and that stalls so much time for 7F. They don't know how to deal with that.
No, exactly. I mean, TFT, you know, you were saying earlier that the mechanical ability might not be quite there compared to 7F, right? They're making it up so much in terms of how well they're using the utility. And do not get me wrong, TFT are, doing spectacular in these gunfights, but their utility usage is also that much better.
Look at this from Glaceon.
That grab net.
Look how much aggression is shut down straight away. Glaceon punishes so accordingly, knows that there's double holds, throws down the wall, and now you have 3 very irritated members of 7F forced to leave to a different avenue, not being bothered to clean up the wall. And now they're forced to reposition to a Xeno that's not ready, or to a couple that's not ready here, as Jinwoo takes down Waddles through stairs. It is a individual picking and slicing, death by 1,000 cuts here for 7F.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's happened to 7F in the last couple of rounds, but Bark not.
Oh,
That trigger. Nah. Ooh, trigger discipline is always good, but sometimes, too long is always a bad thing. Corsa able to find Jinwoo with the horn and gets a lovely headshot, but not quite able to get a second. Those guided salvos zoning Corsa out of their safety net in connector, forcing that gunfight, and Slicing was able to come out on top.
Well shot there from Corsa with the kill onto Jinwoo, a player so formidable in the operator. You'd be very scared to peek him, but played that very well. Nice use of the horn, nice use of the jiggle timings to get that kill. And honestly, he could have punished here. There was a small mistake there from Slicings willingly taking that 1 versus 1. You really should not be doing that against someone like Corsa. You are running out of time. You have the spike in your possession here. You have so much time, so many numbers. That was a giant risk Slicings took to finish the job. It could have turned around to a serious degree. We know how capable Corsa is of winning these clutches alone.
Yeah, that he is. It's,
how scary.
I know, it's valiant effort, but unfortunately not enough, right? 7F opting to, use their timeout, coming out at a good time, right? TFT, they are 3 rounds away from taking it. 7F have not won a single round since the switch into the second half, and TFT have just been absolutely running away with it, right? Yep. They've been looking absolutely formidable, so I think 7F are gonna start having a few conversations with themselves, right, about how they're gonna be, approaching this composition, because like you said, it's very deadly, right? If you allow TFT to get any form of space, they're going to utilize it, throwing down those razor wires, getting those grav nets prepped and ready, getting those walls secured in a safe area to just kill time and just deny 7F any semblance of opportunity for retaking or any opportunity to exert pressure back onto TFT.
On top of that, you look at the scoreboard a little bit more, and you see it's kind of a team-wide performance improvement. Also, maybe playing like a beast right now, and Waddles also wants a little piece of the pie here. But he is traded very quickly by Zaphis. I was going to say, a team collective mechanical advantage from both sides. Oh, the kill contract does catch Zaphis while running away. Can he win this 1v1? A player very composed, very capable, but not going to happen as Corsa and Bark do a little jumping jack to get the kill onto Glaceon. And suddenly the advantage, the tables have been turned. Spike it down. Armageddon in the hands of Slicings. Is this going to be enough? You've got 3 members of 7F approaching. Xeno has a huge chance here, but can't close it. Slicing's alone, not falling to a little while until Corsa finishes him off. 3 kills for Corsa. And finally, 7F break the losing streak.
That they do. That is exactly the round that they needed. That timeout worked out perfectly for them. That is just the boost of confidence that 7F needed to keep themselves in this game, and this could be a potential for many more rounds to come for the side of 7F. But looking at the inventory that TFT have got, they are rocking a full arsenal right now. And, you know, Junwoo going to pick up that operator. So as long as they're going to be getting their Bladestorm next round either way. As long if they die, they get a kill, they get that Bladestorm. The only problem is if they literally don't do anything. And with how Junwoo is playing, like you said, they are a very aggressive player. I have no shadow of a doubt that they're going to be getting their Bladestorm next round and getting ready to pop it.
Yeah, mayhaps. It all depends on how 7F handle this round. Once again, aggressive peek from Junwoo. 3 other members of TFT. There is going to be a barrage of Yuta coming on soon as the dash is about to run out. A dodge, a good effort here from Junwoo, but he is surrounded. But Zaphis has his back. Kill onto Waddles. A near attempt of the no-scope there from Junwoo, but not enough. Kupfu taken down by Zaphis. 1 more member. 7 bullets in hand, but not enough for Bark. It is an even ground now. Still very intense. Corsa might have just found the nice loop-de-loop, but is caught out by Slicings after Glaceon falls. It is a 2 versus 2. With the sight in the possession here of TFT. Armageddon also in the hands of Slicing. Does he get the timing right? He does onto Hazard. And it's just Bark. Another player who is formidable here on the 7F side. Performed exceptionally well last time they played against TFT alongside Corsa. Is this the time where his clutch factor comes in? Aftershock now in hand. Xeno not aware. 1 is down. But can he spot Slicing's down and drop?
That is going to be a very, very interesting play that this is going to be turning out. Bark's got 2 options.
Where it is.
Got the good read. Going to make their way towards drop, but not opting to drop right now. Right. They managed to silently get onto the rope. Oh, but the timing!
Who wins it? It's Slicing!
Yeah, Slicing had that really, really good read onto Bark there. You know, they anticipated, you know, Bark was taking a little bit too long to make the way towards drop, so there's only one way that they could come from. And, you know, Slicing's timed that perfectly. And look at the side of TFT, 5 ultimates compared to the 1 of 7F. But we have got Bark getting the Rolling Thunder very, very shortly. And Waddles also 1 point away from getting their ultimate, right? As well as Hazard with the From the Shadows.
Yeah, and Bark on 1 point away from the Rolling Thunder. Granted, you see 5 ultimates, but honestly, 7F basically have 4 ults of their own.
Yeah.
Just going to have to try and find the right opportunity. Waddles most likely going to get his overdrive from a pick if he can. With Bark in that B area. Not opting to go for an AWP play. Instead, just backing away, holding those close range angles. I think TFT know that 7F are afraid of them in these long angles, and with Waddles, 1 single ounce of aggression here on the open area, and Junwoo will punish you. Drone is going to not reveal anybody. And although usually that info is deceptive, this time it's open. So how confident are TFT going into this? Zaphis' luck is also really huge. But you have that crossfire. 3 members. Kupfu, very quick to punish.
Yeah, that they were. Zaphis had the right idea, but unfortunately the crosshair was just not clearing those necessary angles that they were. And now the Armageddon is coming out from the side of TFT, and those guarded salvos is just zoning Bark over into corner. They managed to find Glaceon with the Stinger. That one is going to hurt, and Xeno manages to TP on top of Box, finds an elimination for themselves. Kupfu's taking 1, Corsa with another, and it's all up to Junwoo. An operator in hand, a very, very deadly weapon. We've seen how good Junwoo is with these scoped weapons. Can they do anything? They get the connection onto Kupfu, but with that double tap, it does not even matter.
Yeah, well played from 7F. I mean, the Stinger play on the C site, catching off Glaceon while throwing out the Annihilation. That is a really big synergizing ultimate that could be combined with other ults that was taken away in the blink of an eye, not able to get any value, caught with his pants down as he is taken on the Stinger on top of the site. I mean, that is a tough situation to be in. That being said though, TFT do still have 3 ultimates, but it's against 3 more of 7F, and 1 that can be used for a highly aggressive retake play. But it's not going to happen. In fact, it's going to be Waddles out with the overdrive, who's going to push. They want to pressure and bully Zaphis away from this area. Flash and stun is out, and he is gone. Glaceon though, all out. 3 other members of TFT, the relay bolt. Guys, there's so many, and Bark is going to capitalize off it. Rolling Thunder invested, all 4 members here on TFT are stunned. Are they going to make the most of it? They're all caught in rubble. Bark, 1, but not more. Also with the Seer, it is a complete pincer play. Excellently done here from 7F. TFT with 1 member left in the kill contract, falling a victim to Cub Fu. What a play there from 7F. That was so well done.
Yeah, a lovely, lovely teammate coming out from 7F right there. I mean, they played that really, really well. The aggression from beginning to end was, they did not get their foot off that gas pedal at all. And TFT, they were just boxed in like a set of sardines. Nothing that they could have done. They were entrapped. They were encased. They were just stuck in this cage of pressure that 7F just suffocated them with. And TFT, they literally had no answer to it. Whatever they could have done, it just did not matter.
They tried to be aggressive, right? You saw, but as soon as the call was made that they will suffer the relay belt, Mark wanted to stack and stack and stack, and that was exactly the right play. Perfectly done there. Great use of that sudden mid-round instinct popped in. That shows the experience here of 7F. They're going to continue with these skirmishes here. Cub Fu gets 1, but not the second. Bark gets a rapid trade, but caught with his pants down here while throwing out the aftershock. Going to be taken down by Xeno, turn this into a 3 versus 3. Steel Garden and from the shadows from TFT. Glaceon 3 points off of his annihilation. Only from the shadows there. Steel Garden is going to be popped here from Zaphiz. Waddles is forced to retreat with only a classic, and too aggressive on that peak. Quickly punished from Zaphiz. With that information now revealed, they're going to be rotating onto this B site with so much space to themselves. Hazard eagerly waiting with the operator in hand. Takes down Zaphiz. Does Corsa have a rifle there? I believe he does.
He does. He can do a lot of damage with it. We've seen how good they are. Prowler coming out, not finding any information in connector, but Hazard's going to find the connection onto Glaceon. And can they get the shorty kill? No, they cannot. Xeno gets 3, and they put themselves onto map point.
15 HP in a dream there from Xeno. You notice that Hazard, so good on the operator, managed to take down another player, but Corsa was quickly shut down afterwards after winning that fight against Glaceon. You know, Hazard had no choice but to try and be ultra aggressive, but that angle on the shorty was just a little bit short to deal not enough damage. You saw his HP on Xeno get ticked down to 15. Had he been just inches closer, that could have been a whole different round win there for 7F.
Exactly, that could have been. You know, it could have gone either way, but TFT have put themselves in a very comfortable position, right? 1 round away from from winning the map, sorry. And 7F have got quite a lot to work, well, not to work with, sorry. They've got a lot to do in order to keep themselves in this game. But TFT, it is their map pick, and they are showing why they've chosen this map. And they're being aggressive on this seaside push. And 7F are matching them. Aftershock trying to delay the fault line coming out, trying to just stall out as much time as they can. But with that dark cover coming out, it's just going to stall them out. And through the door, TFT are opting to go. And Bark getting a kill onto Glaceon through the smoke. Glaceon's not going to be happy with that one, but these are the things that happen in Valorant, right? Bark getting that fault line prepped and ready.
Waiting for the door to pop again.
That they are. TFT, you can see that they've kind of split themselves off now, you know, either side of the door. They're looking like they're going to be opting to go for that B site push. Arcro is coming out, trying to find some information, but nothing is going to come about off of it. Prowler going to give some information. You know, at least 1 member is there, and with that ultimate orb coming out.
Revealing at least 1 around, at least 1 is present.
Yeah, 7F, they're not biting. They're just patiently waiting, seeing what's going to happen, because it's TFT's job to get onto the site and get that spike planted, and with less than 30 seconds, it's going to come down to the wire. And Bark, are they going to be the one opening up the kill? Yes, they are. Down goes Xeno as well, and all the members of TFT are slowly starting to fall as 7F are looking lovely and healthy.
10 seconds left. Not really too much, unfortunately, so time ticking down, flash pressure too much here. As he is down, Bark with 3. A really well-played position on top of the boxes there. Really good timing of against that wall. You notice that TFT didn't necessarily want to completely give away that presence of that C site. That's why giving away the information on the orb was what they wanted. Yeah. But 7F was so disciplined. Almost like not hesitating. I mean, Hazard's positioning was really good on the baby door. Able to check the information, but they could have easily been shifting upwards and close by, right? Yeah. So that was really well disciplined from 7F. Even after being at match point deficit here, they are not scared of this going down.
No, I think with this situation now, 7F's experience is really going to be what's going to prove their skill. And as both teams are trading, Kubfu is going to be the one to, you know, extend the lead. And once more, and again, all of a sudden, TFT are just falling down like flies.
There was almost a chance that they won that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, they just took a little too long to take down Hazard in that corner. Had they been just a little more aggro, Waddles would have been late, Corsa would have been late through the smoke. They might have been able to establish more time. But no, they were too slow on the punishment there. And that was enough for 7F to take this to potentially overtime. As although the financials are enough for rifles on the side of TFT, low shields, a glass operator here from Sun Jin Woo. One more orb on the side of Slicings to make use of that Armageddon. Might be well comboed here with the Annihilation to catch them as well. Yeah. How are they going to play around this? Utility in favor of TFT, weaponry and shields in favor of 7F. Waddles, great job on this movement, takes down Slicing and then immediately evades the Annihilation. Kubfu on the other side takes down Glaceon. They are trapped. Rolling Thunder is thrown out, but Jin Woo gets one. Kubfu though on that lurk, still such an oppressive position. Jin Woo now, no reasons to fight, no reasons to lose now, just has to commit but can't win it. We're going to overtime.
That we are. I mean, experience is really starting to show itself in this series, Shiba. 7F, you know, they were 12-9 down and now they've clawed their way back, all the way back to overtime. I mean, they made it look so easy, right? Most teams, most players would start crumbling or that pressure will start getting to them, but 7F just did not look phased in the slightest.
And, you know, it's on the contrary, unfortunately, for TFT. They're looking a little more pressured here. Yeah. They're a little more hesitant on their decision-making. You know, I was initially thinking that maybe they were trying to be a little patient, a little crafty around that B area, but even then they weren't taking extra space. They were taking the space that, you know, anyone would be able to grab at that point, but maybe that was a sign of hesitation, less a sign of discipline.
Yeah, I mean, was it? Kubfu was just able to capitalize on the mistakes outside of TFT, right?
Yeah. This time, though, swapping sides. Waddles continuing on with his traditional aggression. A star Neon player for Colt last Epic. Now coming in here for 7F to try and continue the train going.
Wall tripped.
With the shear activated, it is going to be slowing down the push here. Look at all of this slowdown. All 5 members here of 7F are caught up in that one slot, waiting, maybe walking into Zav's crosshair. He spotted one, and the blinds are coming out too. Trading here, keeping them both in contention. As Zav's comes out, reload but also thrown out. Is Zaf ready? No! Waddles takes him down. Xeno, although stunned, does get the kill onto Waddles himself as well, but the plant is down. Slicings might have a great angle, but not ready for Hazard's angle. Even so, not even ready for Corsa either. You've got Jin Woo on Baby Door, might be able to get a position himself here of high value operator in hand, but only gets the wallbang onto Corsa, and that's a disaster. But Xeno doesn't care. He's got no pressure in his veins right now. 2 kills for himself. Can he get the kill onto Kubfu? Because if he does, it's a ginormous advantage here in the favor of TFT. Shorty in hand. He knows Kubfu is approaching, and he's got it. 1 more kill, and the ace is secured. Spike is also down. Hazard operating in hand. Needs to be aggressive himself, but nothing will even dare to contest Jin Woo with an operator.
Joel was just me there. I think they should have just given their teammate the ace. But, you know what, really, really well played by TFT. You know, 7F, really aggressive going into that attack, right? It was all looking like it was going in 7F's favor, but TFT, they took a page out of 7F's book in terms of discipline, playing patiently, and it worked out dividends. Xeno just really popping off, you know, star player of that round. And they have kept TFT on map point once more.
Yeah, nothing to notice as well is that 7F are trying to adapt. Last time that they were losing these rounds, they were caught separated. This time now they are going into full stack rushes, and you're seeing that again on the C side. And unfortunately, TFT on 7F, they've made the wrong gamble here on the side here. And TFT, on the contrary, perfect read here. Jin Woo daring to step into sight on these close angles with the operator. One coming down, but a slew of utility being thrown to put off the plant. Waddles aware of Glaceon, caught off, but takes down Jin Woo in a clean headshot there. But Glaceon gets the trade. Can he get more? No. Corsa gets 1. It is a 2 versus 3 post plant in favor of 7F. Operator in the hands of Hazard, but can't land the shots again here. Overtime financials, armor so low, and Zafiz finishes it off with a 4K, and TFT will take map 1.
What an absolute stupendous play coming out from Zafiz. I don't know if you heard outside of the headphones, but TFT
heard the screaming.
were roaring with confidence.
This is back, baby, and I told you, This team is so solid, so capable of contesting these super teams. And, you know, I said it. The scoreline was a lie. It was a fraud. This team was so much better than that, and they proved it with this map here.
That they have. You see, we see why TFT are so comfortable with that Lotus pick, right? They took 7F all the way into overtime. 14-12 was the final score on the doors for that map. And now we're going into map number 2, which is going to be 7F's pick. So are we going to be seeing a 1-1 scoreline, or are we going to see an upset where 7F just get knocked out of the competition and TFT secure themselves a place in that grand final spot? Who knows? But we are going to go for a short 5-minute break, so don't go anywhere. Quickly grab yourself a drink of water and we'll be back with more Valorant.
Score yourself down, guys. We'll be back very soon.
Hello everyone and welcome back from that short, lovely little break we just had. Back here at EPIC44 with Intel, sponsored by Asus, Republic of Gamers and Overclockers. This VALORANT tournament's starting to shape up quite nicely, isn't it, Sheba?
Indeed, indeed. We've got a great series on our hands, man. I'm telling you now, that first map on Lotus was absolute cinema. It was such a fun map to watch. 7F and TFT duking out with that revenge. It feels like 7F have figured something out with themselves. TFT have figured something out with them. 7F have done really, really well. But kind of a little bit on the contrary, you had a couple moments where they looked sloppy and other moments where they were absolutely exceptional. And that maybe is because of how unique TFT's comp were on that Lotus, how much more confident TFT are feeling now. Next time, though, we do have Bind as our next map. And that is a very different story in terms of knowledge that we have on these teams. 7F have multiple veterans who love this map, have won championships with this map. So I would not be surprised to see this be a pretty convincing TFT map, a pretty convincing 7F map. But TFT, man, they've done great. They look reinvigorated, and I wouldn't be surprised if they put up a big fight on this one.
That's true. I mean, if TFT continue on with that momentum that they have taken from Lotus, right, and bring it into Bind, they do stand a fighting chance. I mean, with how Lotus went, it's very clear to see that that is TFT's favorite map.
Absolutely.
That is exactly why they picked it.
That comp was so unique. It felt like a jump scare because last time I'd seen this guy play, it was a whole different comp.
Yeah.
It was practically a meta comp plus Taeho, like an old meta comp plus Taeho, and this time they changed it up entirely. Brought the Taeho vibes, brought the Deadlock special gimmick.
Yeah.
They executed a lot more aggressive angles for the Jet as well. It was a really good display of map knowledge and an understanding of their own gimmick comp, which is just great to see.
Yeah, exactly.
Into Bind, I'm curious on your thoughts on what you think the composition is going to be this time, because although a lot of the agents that TFT ran for Lotus are very viable on this map,
yeah.
Compositional-wise, you're probably going to be losing quite a few other choices. Like, most likely, instead of the Omen that we're going to see, we're probably going to be seeing the Brimstone and or the Viper.
Yeah.
Maybe even the Astra being a very popular agent as of recent.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of compositions, I've been like seeing, Teo, is an agent that most teams pick up here on Bind. I've been seeing the Brimstone with the Deadlock combination, right?
Yep.
When they get the orbital strike, they'll throw the Grav Net, puts them down into a certain area, and they don't exactly have an opportunity to get themselves out. It just throws them an Armada, and I think those are going to be some of the agents that I'd expect to see. And the Raze or the Jet, kind of interchangeable. Yoru's been making quite a fair appearance. This event, being picked up a lot more. Vi's not so much this round. I'm expecting to see maybe a Cypher on the side of if they're going to be playing a Sentinel, right? If not, you might substitute it for another smoke like Viper, maybe like you said, even the Astra. But I'd probably be leaning more towards that Viper. With that Viper's Pit, huge area denial.
Yeah, I definitely partially agree with you. I've seen a myriad of comps play on this map of recent, so it's difficult really to predict exactly what's going to happen. But assuming that Glaceon on the side of TFT is very confident on this Deadlock, and TFT have some prepared protocols for that, we're most likely going to be seeing the Deadlock from them once again.
Yeah.
I'm very interested on what they're going to be running smokes-wise. I'm really interested about the one because you've got loads of options here.
Yeah.
If I was to make a prediction, I'm probably going to guess 7F are going to be running the Viper. Hazza is a big fan of the Viper. Very, very strong Viper player generally throughout the entire history of Epic. It feels like whenever he's on it, he's a very scary guy to go against. So if that was my guess, I would predict 7F to be running the Viper on Hazza. TFT, I really don't know. I'm not sure.
I guess it's anyone's guess at this point, isn't it?
Yeah, and another thing as well, duelists. Are we going to be seeing Jinwoo again on that Jet to open up that operator? Could we even see a chamber pocket pick coming out here? It might happen if TFT still want to capitalize Jinwoo's aggression as much as they can to the success that they've had for the last few maps. We could see that happen again. Or they'll stick to the meta and run Raze. Or Yoru. We don't know. We'll have to wait and see because I think 7F more likely to go with the more conventional expected meta. I'm very much more interested to see what TFT are going to do.
Yeah, I think in terms of, who's going to be, with those surprise picks, I think TFT is going to be the much more unconventional team, right? They're probably going to be, more off-meta. 7F are probably, they're either going to play to the meta or they're just going to be sticking to their comfort picks, right? They're not, they're not a main roster. They're coming in, as a mixer. So it could be a case that they're going to be playing a map that they enjoy on agents that they're very comfortable with and making it work.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I don't doubt is that we're very likely going to see Corsair on the Fade.
Yeah,
that's like a kind of a staple pick on this map at this point, so guaranteed to see that. I wonder if Taeho is going to be implemented here as well. Again, a very impressive agent, very viable on many maps, but I'm not as familiar with Taeho for Bind. Not too sure exactly if you think there's going to be more likely of Taeho. What do you think of that?
I think Teo is going to be picked. And I think if it's anyone, I think Slicing is going to be picking up because they look pretty proficient, right, on Teo. They weren't necessarily getting, the kills with the abilities, right, but they used their abilities in such a way where they got value from zoning, cutting off areas of, for 7F to, make the way, like, was it? And towards the end of one of the rounds, like, the Armageddon came out, completely cut off 7F, like, from both sides. The team was completely split in half, right, and it allowed TFT to just completely decimate 7F, right?
Yeah.
So
on top of that, you had those aggressive avenues where you could throw the Taeho utility towards those specific choke point angles, and then immediately have Glaceon on the deadlock, throw out that slowdown utility as well, like the Gravnet and the wall. You could also do that with Bind. Granted, a little bit more of an open map here. You're more likely going to see something along the lines of sightline blocking on the A site. On the B site, we could very easily see that deadlock utility be put to the most of value here.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I mean, with Bind, with how close quarters, Bind is not that very open of a map. There's a lot of areas that you can, sneak those sonic sensors, into, places that are very, not unconventional, I say uncomfortable for teams to, approach and, try and challenge, right? And already, Glaceon hovering over that deadlock. Jinwoo back on the Jet, Slicing's on the Teo, Corsa with the fade, and Waddles is going to be opting to pick up the Raze, right? So, Waddles, very proficient duelist player, the Neon might have been a good shout, but Raze just makes that much more sense here on Bind.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Raze is almost the poster girl for this map at this point. It feels like 99% of the time, most teams who are generally there to win and play those top comps are going to be the ones rocking the Raze. However, we see a Jet Hover here from TFT. Very few times where you look at Jet and you think, oh yeah, no, that makes total sense. Again, most likely going to be picking the Jet, but you made the right call. We both made the right calls here with the first two agents locked in for TFT. Slicing to Glaceon, locking in their respective agents here of Taeho and Deadlock. A lot of hovering here from 7F. The first locking is going to be a Gecko here from Bar.
Yeah, very, very interesting, right? So, like, throughout the series that I've seen, like I casted a Bind game earlier, we're seeing a Sky in that initiator position, right? So I think with that initiator position, it's very, very flexible. 7F opting to look for a double initiator comp, it looks like, with Corsa on the fade, but that Gecko could have been interchanged for a Breach, for a Sky. It could have been anyone. And, they're going to run double duelist, double initiator for the side of 7F, once more. And the side of TFT, they're pretty much going to be rocking the exact same composition other than Xeno picking up the Brimstone.
Yeah, I mean, Brimber is a very popular agent for this map. The map is small enough so that you can make the most of those smokes without having to sacrifice too much space, sacrifice too much area. And on top of that, they're still sticking around with that comfort point of that triple whammy. Got the Vise, Deadlock, and Taeho once again coming back together, the three musketeers of the comp, you could say, and then Jinwoo with a specialist Jet. Again, even without that raised in our utility, the utility from the other agents they are running, like the Taeho and the Vise, is enough to make up for that, which I think is a really good idea here from TFT. I'm excited to see that double duelist come out. It's again another sign of confidence there from 7F, letting them know, hey, we're damn good at winning our gunfight. So we're going to be running a second duelist here on Kubfu on that ISO. The Raze as well, traditional like we've already mentioned. Brimstone from both sides, very traditional like we would have expected. No Viper coming in, no Astra coming in, no Breach coming in, which I'm a little surprised about. Usually, if there was one role that's very diverse and unpredictable on this map, it is the initiators. Like you said, you saw Sky earlier, you can see Fade, you can see Gecko, you can see Breach. You can even, sometimes if you fancy being a little bit goofy, you can run KO as long as you have those specifically strict setups. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
You have to be very protocoled for KO to work on a map like this. His no command is very good for those smaller sites. Outside of that, generally KO is pretty off meta, but there are some teams that can use him to great effect,
Exactly that. Now, with the compositions being, relatively similar, TFT pretty much running the exact same comp, opting for the Brimstone instead of the Omni. It just makes that much more sense, right? The Orb Strike clears out lamps, clears out any areas that any members of 7F might be holding, just quickly, just gives, TFT that opportunity for space. But 7F opting to go for more of that aggressive composition, right? 2 initiators, 2 duelists. You would be expecting 7F to be playing off and getting value from the utility that they are going to be using, because if they don't, then it's going to be a very, very difficult, it's going to be a very difficult time for 7F to go up against the composition of TFT. I mean, they've been making it work really well. That Vise Deadlock combo, has been very oppressive in terms of stalling power alone. Razor Wire, Gravnet, Sonic Sensor, the wall itself, right? There is so much time that can be eaten from the clock just by those abilities alone, let alone the rest of, you know, the kits from the other agents, you know, thrown into the mix, right? We are having a few technical issues, right? Some audio issues on the side of some of the players. But whilst we've been having a bit of downtime, Sheba, how have you been enjoying your event, your time here at EPIC
It's been phenomenal as always. I love it here, and I'm always really honoured to be able to come onto VALORANT and cast, because you know, I was formerly an OSU caster back in EPIC44, and I tried to seize the opportunity to get a chance to cast for VALORANT here, and it's been a huge opportunity and something that I'm really happy to have improved so much and being able to do these matches of such incredibly high caliber. It's been awesome. It's been a blast. It's been great. It's always nice to see old friends, meet new friends, have an opportunity to cast with new casters, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Making connections that way too. And it's been a great cast so far. So, you know, let's keep the show rolling. Let's keep it going, and let's keep that hype alight, right? It's been awesome. I mean, I'm so happy to be here every time.
That's awesome.
What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, no, I've been having a really good time. It's like my 8th LAN now, so I'm very well versed with how everything goes.
My 3rd one, personally. My 3rd one, yeah.
Yeah, but let's get into map number 2 of this lower finals here at EPIC44. And Glaceon might be the one to kick things off with that Gravnet, unless they find themselves in the shooting gallery. But it's in fact 7F that are going to be on the other end of the barrels. Bark trying to get any information with the Dizzy and gets 2 lovely quick kills onto Jim Woo's license, but Glaceon is going to get the trade. Can they get any more? No. Hazard is going to be making the plays, and all of a sudden the kills have been going back and forth either way, and all of a sudden we've gone from 5 to 2 on either side with that spike planted. I have no idea how the rest of this round is going to be turning out.
It's continuing though, it's still going. Xeno manages to catch out Kudfu, so maybe the heroics of Rebark are not to come to fruition. But Hazard has an interesting angle that might make this up here. Jump peek from Zaphiz, no spot. They're going to be rotating around. Are they aware? They are, thankfully. Zaphiz rechecks the peek and wins the pistol round. You hear the screams behind us. They are elated to get that opening pistol round. But that being said, it seemed all over for 7F towards the start. But Bark is a lethal sharpshooter on that Sheriff. Even when the Dizzy doesn't get value after being shot before it's thrown out, those 2 headshots were absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, a true marksman in the flesh, right? Bark showing the mechanical prowess on display, but it just wasn't enough for 7F to come out on top. And like you said, it was an incredibly diabolical start for 7F. They lost so many members so early on, and TFT were just able to pick up the pieces. But then all of a sudden, 7F, they just clapped back. Bark had a few words to say towards them, and they, you know, it was all, you know, all for us to view.
Bark, he's all bark and a bit of bite as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, terrifying player to face when you know he can hit shots like that. But that being said, 7F are going to be the ones to go on the aggression again. Corsa, a clean headshot onto Jin Woo, and Kudfu follows suit. Kill onto Xeno with the Sheriff. Now suddenly flipping the script here. 7F might be able to get away with a ginormous clutch win on this anti-eco. Glaceon does get 1, but that's all they're going to get here. Corsa shuts him down. Although very low HP on the side of Kudfu, 4 versus 2. Good weaponry on the side of TFT, but can they make the most of it? 1 with an outlaw in hand, a terrifying weapon to face in an anti-eco situation. After losing Jin Woo on that outlaw, also with a clean shot to open that opportunity up now. A lot of time to stall. The clock is ticking here.
TFT, they've got quite the mountain to climb, and unfortunately they're going to be falling to the base, but Zaph is going to be the one to keep it alive. Unfortunately for them, they are not, as Corsa secures themselves a 3K, and that buy round for TFT did not go the way that they wanted. In fact, it was anything less than awful.
It all started from that opening pick there onto Jin Woo. It's almost like 7F were reading him, going to hold that angle. You notice that Hazard deliberately, intentionally put that smoke with a slight off angle so that Corsa could surprise him with that peek. Jin Woo were probably thinking, what are these guys doing? What's this smoke? There's a free gap. Oh, and then spots and then sees Corsa's scope shining past his own and takes a bullet to the skull, which led to a huge snowball effect, the catalyst, you could say. But with that being said here, 7F now starting to tear through the early defenses here of not very high financed TFT right now, with early first blood dropped into Jin Woo once again. And and TFT forced to retreat. Glaceon goes through TP, notifying two members of 7F. Sheriff in hand, tries to get the spam but can't do it. And that's the site fully secured here for 7F.
Riddled with bullets. Glaceon looking like Swiss cheese in the teleport, and Waddles is going to be making the way forward, gets one shot connected with the Shorty, and Hazard's just going to follow up with a lovely 3k, and 7F are just going to make swift work in that flawless round. 2-1 up in map number 2.
That is a gorgeous 1-2 play that you saw there from the two members of 7F. You had one jumping in with the shotgun and the other one going for that wide swing, having them not expecting, okay, he's going to jump again, right? Reload and jump again, so let's prepare the corner, and then you just see Hazard just kind of Ferrari picking you on the other side, just catching you out straight away. A really good double swing there from 7F to kind of clean up the rest.
Yeah, it didn't even give TFT an opportunity to breathe during that. It just shows like the level of coordination that the members of 7F have with each other and how comfortable they are playing with each other, even though they're not, main rosters. They might be mixers, but my God, can they coordinate well? And that's exactly what you love to see from these high-performing teams. Thrash is going to be looking like they are going to be sending them out, followed behind the Prowler. Ooh. Junwoo might be making their demise. Oh, they are going to be detained, and they're also going to get caught. Oh, the mosh pit not going to be able to find anyone. Neither will the guided salvos. Wingman, our little friend and buddy, getting that spike planted, but Hazard is going to be falling to the hands of Junwoo, and Glaceon a hair's breadth away from death. Are they going to keep themselves alive?
No.
That they will, because the teammates are backing them up, and it's all down to Kung Fu. They get one, they get two, can they get three?
Oh
no, they cannot.
A tag of damage onto Slicings. Had that crosser been aimed slightly higher up, you could have seen him land the cranial shot to maybe lock in the 1v1, and thus the clutch there. It was almost doable there for Kung Fu. Not unfortunately enough here. Great discipline on the back side there of TFT. You also saw an off-screen kill there from Jimwoo. Might have been also a big catalyst play there. Taking so much damage and still surviving. Glaceon alongside them as well. Still willing to take those 1v1s even after being such low HP. Nicely done there from TFT. Good confidence.
Yeah, no, that they did. That was a very crucial round for TFT to win, right? I mean, look at the economy. It's not great, but if they did not have won that, they would not have been able to give themselves the arsenal that they've got currently. So it's very, very crucial for them. Gives themselves an opportunity to keep themselves in the game nice and healthy. Going to be able to meet 7F on somewhat of an equal playing field, right? But if TFT do not win this round, they are going to be looking at having to go for a save round next.
Ito being thrown away. Xeno tries to take a little bit of a step ahead to avoid the save, but ends up getting punished instead. Slicing's though on the other side. Gets two and takes a lot of damage onto Bark. 2.5, you could say. Out comes the Wingman. Not going to be caught. Annihilation to follow suit too. Does not catch Waddles on the other side. But Glaceon has that judge in hand. If he can time out the pot just right, he might be able to get a punishment, and they do. Now, rifle in hand. Going to be able to grab that Vandal. And it's slowed down. Bark throws out the Dizzy, but no cigar. 23 HP in the bar. What can they make the most of here? Both Glaceon and Zafis alternating positions. Who wins it? Hazard is down, and that's a ginormous player to be gone. Zafis does the finishing blow for TFT.
Wow, wow, wow. Quite the upset that we're starting to see now coming into map number 2. I mean, we were just saying before this map even started with how experienced 7F are and how comfortable they are with this map. It was going to be a bit more of a convincing lead for them, but unfortunately, I think TFT have got some other words to say to 7F, right? They are making this map their own. 7F is pick, but TFT are the ones to be leading the charge, and, an upset might be happening here tonight.
For sure. I mean, it's still early days, still a little early in there, but that being said, this is promising here from TFT, definitely. Seeing a couple individual slip-ups just generally here, not submit any severe clutch factors. You can see the individuals kind of split around here of TFT, all performing to very high degrees. They are hungry. They want to make it into that grand finals, maybe get a piece of the pie. Prize pool graciously contributed to extra by our friends at Aces Republic of Gamers, who are not only adding to the prize pool, but also giving our MVP of the grand finals a lovely Asus peripheral. I can imagine they're very eager to make the most of here. Asus able to make the best of the best. So these guys want a little piece of that. Back into the round. Jimwoo, Bladestorm in hand, unfortunately not able to make the most of it, and Glaceon taken down off the kill contract. Is Hazard able to make the most of it? Yes! Takes down Jimwoo, and the site is now in the hands of 7F.
Now, as that spike timer is ticking down, TFT are on the back foot. What seems like quite a while away. Quite some time since they've been in this somewhat of a predicament, shall we say.
Yeah.
And Zafis in a predicament of their own, are they? As they are going to fall in elbow, and Xeno's just going to get pepper sprayed through the smoke. There ain't no way they're going to be coming out of that one unscathed. And Slicings is just going to be opting to get the running shoes on and make way for the hills, as they are just going to try and play as safe as possible, moving the way through into showers, waiting for any exit frags from the side of 7F if they decide to go through the teleporter. But I don't think they're going to be finding anything now, as 7F keep themselves in a flawless victory.
Yeah, Slicings really wants to try and get that exit frag, but being 1 point away from Armageddon, I feel like 7F are partially aware of that, so they're not going to be too eager to go into that hunting season. So they're just going to be happy with that little flawless, and Slicings is now still stuck on that 1 orb away from that Armageddon use. You still have the Steel Garden and the Orbital Strike in the hands of TFT. And on top of that, for 7F, you have that Orbital Strike as well, with both Bark and Corsair one orb away from the Thrash and the Nightfall, respectively. Waddle's 2 away from the Showstopper. There's a lot of ultimates with potential here to make a crazy impact on this round. Is it going to happen here? Aggressive push here already here from Waddles. As Jim Woo is holding on to that operator. Timing though is not on his side. Catches out the orb, so chooses to back in, and the initiation is successful here for Jin Woo, as Waddles, one of their main entry duelists, is taken down with the Showstopper as well. That will slow down this will slow down the push of 7S significantly here, as they choose to opt into that rotation and choose to attack that B site.
That they do. I mean, Kubfu just, taking the initiative to, bravely charge through into Hookah, but they are going to lose their life because of it, and Glaceon's going to pick up a second for themselves. The Orbital Strike is going to be invested just in case Glaceon wasn't quite so fortunate, but, they're still keeping themselves on top, but Bark is going to be taking them out. Wingman going to go in, trying to find any form of stun, but Xeno has placed himself stupendously by elbow, catching the members of 7S completely with their pants down, and they are taking the lead once more.
Usually when you see a Wingman running into the site out of the smoke, you just instantly autopilot that it's a plant about to come down, and so you shut it down very quickly, right? But Xeno was instantly spotting that Wingman without spiking its arms. So he's like, all right, they're going with this aggression here. They want to try and just take space with it and not go for the bomb plant. So with that peek coming out there from Bark, instantly caught out. And the 2K secured there for Xeno, making it a 4-3 lead here for TFT. Jim Woo taking this hyper-aggressive angle with the operator, characteristic of him at this point. An iconic staple of this player. Dash, soon to be popped. Showstopper comes out, and 2 kills for Waddles as he continues to advance through that lamps area. He spots Xeno with his back turned, but just barely misses out. Waiting for that re-peek to not come through, unfortunately. As the remaining other members of TFT are backing away, waiting for that retake. Excellent timing there of the Showstopper. And there's still more aggression to be done here for 7F. Waddles wants to get more. He is hungry for these kills. And he's taking this 1v2 willingly with one behind him to take the back on Corsair. But he's taken down by Glaceon. Xeno may go down. Waddles gets a trade, but Zafis has one. But he's alone now with 3 other members of 7F to face. And I don't think he's going to be armed and ready to go for it. He is going to back away from the save.
Yeah, he's going to have to just go for the save now. I mean, with how much aggression 7F were going into that round with, they invested a lot of, a fair few ultimates going into it, right? It worked out well for them, and, it's just forced TFT to just have to just back off and just save, right? Wasn't able to, match the aggression, but at least they're able to keep one gun in the inventory. Gives them a bit more of a fighting chance going into this next round. Junwoo picking up that operator, enough money in the bank to get the operator plus some light shields, but there's not much change left over, shall we say. Yeah. This series is still neck and neck, and it can go either way.
This is such a fun match to watch so far, Richie. I don't know about you. It's just incredible. It's so amazing to watch these guys duke it out so intensely, and both of them showing so high levels of confidence. It's beautiful to see. And now, this is where stuff starts to hit the fan here, as the utility is at a maximum here. Jim Woo trying to attempt to get a pick, spots 3 down long. He's asking for his teammate to back him up. 2 more members of TFT ready to help. Armageddon thrown out here to secure the space in the angle, but Kubfu doesn't care, gets 2, takes down quickly by Slicings, and Bart gets the trade efficiently afterwards. Zap is alone on the back of B, can't do anything about it. As the ultimates thrown come to the fruition of 7F, with Glaceon left on their own. Coming back from that A-side rotation, gets one onto Bark, but needs to focus on the isolation if they want to win. You've got Annihilation in hand, but I don't think they're going to be popping it here, as Corsair and Waddles are holding this aggression to a far degree. Glaceon's just waiting for somebody to get in. A second smoke from Hazard is going to confirm it again. Just stall even more time.
Yeah, that spike timer is ticking. And it's all up to Glaceon, but once again, they might be having to opt themselves for a save. And now as that smoke is starting to dissipate, they are going to keep themselves. They've got another opportunity to, you know, keep themselves safe. But now that the smoke is gone, they get one. Can they get two? Corsa versus Glaceon. Who's going to come out on top? But that spike is going to get ticked down. Members are going to die and fry.
Yep.
And it's going to be a 5-4 lead for 7F.
Fried by the rain of the spike, unfortunately. Corsa falls victim to it, but the round is around there for 7F. Not too much financial damage done, thankfully. Even so, both teams having that buy round in. The Fleece Troopers taking the brunt of the losses. Glaceon still managing to hold on to this Vandal. Although damage is done, still the round there for 7F. Ultimates are still in hand to a very strong margin as well. You've got the Nightfall and Kill Contract. 7F, and for TFT, Steel Garden and Annihilation. Very much a good combo to potentially run. Fowler is forced to give away Slice's position on that judge. And the Kill Contract is thrown out now into Jinwoo with a Vandal in hand. Instantly one tap there from Kubfu. And that is a huge kill. Loads of space unlocked there for the opening site. Corsa taken down though by Glaceon off the lurk. So it's going to even out the numbers here. Teleport exchanged.
Right here.
7F now off to transition into the ace site, but are they aware of Xeno? That whiff is tremendously bad. A huge member of the team in that position as well, taken down. A key member for the post plant is still fighting forth. Another kill onto Zaphiz, with Bark taking down Glaceon too. Waddles is hungry. He wants slicings of his own, and he's not going to get it. He's going to be held unless Glaceon doesn't turn around. Doesn't really mean much regardless. He's gone. And it's a win for 7F.
Yeah, down they go. I mean, TFT just could not do anything against 7F right there. Completely unmatched, outgunned, and outpaced. 7F just had full control going into that 10th round. And now, as we're approaching the penultimate round, 7F are starting to find their stride. They're starting to find their comfortability in this map, and they are starting to show us why this is their map pick and why they are so comfortable and why they, you know, they are keeping themselves in this competition.
Absolutely. This is a competition, damn straight, and they're making it look like one for sure. Still a very close matchup here in this first half. Second to last round before we switch up to half. Kubfu contributing a little extra to his kill contract. Still, 2 ultimates in the hands of TFT. Fantastic use for the retake. Glaceon is thinking about maybe going into this aggressive. He will. He's going to be throwing out the Annihilation. Kubfu is caught with the wall coming up. He's not able to get it. Also supposed to give away his position. They take it down. Still going to take it out here from Zaphiz as well. Xeno capitalizes off the kill on Glaceon and gets 2 of his own. And even through the Steel Garden, 7F are not able to trade. They're going to be instantly rotating onto B into the hands of Slicings on the Tejo.
Yeah, and now that unmatched aggression from the last round is completely flipped on the script. Slicing, just waiting for their prey, sending out that special delivery, seeing if they're going to be finding anyone, but Bark is going to be finding that drive-by onto Slicings. Now with the wingman getting that spike planted, they are going to opt to rotate towards Elbow, trying to see if they can catch any members of TFT completely off guard, and they might be able to do just that. Ooh, the timing might be working in the favor of Bark right now.
Surely someone needs to turn. Otherwise, could be disaster! Just barely evaded. Xeno quick on the draw. The moment the trigger is pulled, it's there.
That they were 5-6 going into this last round of the half. Are we going to see another 6-6 scoreline like we did in map number 1, or are 7F going to, you know, try and break that streak and, you know, have a 7-5 half in favor of them going into the second half? Who knows? It's all to play for in this final round. And
it is.
in terms of how we're looking in terms of ult economy, Kubfu going to be getting their kill contract up online. Slicing's 2 away from getting their Armageddon, and in terms of ultimate, that's about really as much as we're going to be really seeing. You know, Orbital Strike on the side of Xeno, right, really good for, you know, the opportunity to stall out, you know, any form of planting, or if the wingman's going to be going onto site, you know, take out the wingman, deny the plant, and that Thrash is coming out, barreling their way down long, and oh my goodness, they read them like a book. The Grav Net and Orbital Strike combination absolutely decimates.
Oh, and they get the
Stealth Drone finding 3.
This is incredible from TFT. What an amazing read. You don't see orbital strikes brave enough like that very often. And that just shuts down the Flash entirely here. Killtron Trash though is thrown out. An opportunity to isolate the situation. And they succeeded here from Kubfu. Still, the numbers are evened out. That 3-man drone attack on top of that orbital strike kill, unfortunately not going to solidify too much as Corsa turns it into an advantage. Wants to flip it, but unfortunately he's traded very swiftly here from Kubfu. It's 2 versus 3. Are they going to be aware of Glaceon? They have an angle that is incredible here, but isn't ready for Corsa on the other side of long. A short, sorry. And it's up to Zaphis to catch them when they're not ready. The Vines are tripped to slow down the momentum. Corsa taking a gander.
30 seconds
but
left.
picks up the read. Who gets it first? It's Corsa. Who else really to claim that life there? And it is going to be a positive half here for 7F, 7-5 in their favor.
Yeah, 7F, look, sitting pretty in that first half, right? That's exactly the scoreline they'll probably be wanting. That's the best one that they could have hoped for, going into those final moments of the last round. TFT putting up a good fight, but can they continue on with the momentum? Can they keep it going into their attacking round? I mean, we know what they're capable of, right? The agents that they've selected are really paying off for the side of TFT, but 7F's experiences and aggression are starting to slowly creep away and outpace TFT's capabilities of matching it.
Yeah, no, you're right. This is good adaptation from both sides. Another thing that I hadn't mentioned for a little while for the last few rounds here, you've noticed that lack of aggression here from Jinwoo. It's not been as severe as it used to be. It seems like TFT a little bit aware that 7F are kind of taking the gander and making their predictions a bit more understandable here against Jinwoo. So Jinwoo isn't taking as raw aggressive angles, but that being said, it doesn't change the fact that 7F want to be aggressive themselves here. Waddles gets 2 on the Sheriff. It's Glaceon wants to try and get some, but not enough, unfortunately. Jinwoo, a very aggressive player, but Kubfu just does not care. The 2 Sheriff wielders of 7F are mopping the floor here with TFT on this pistol round. It's a 3rd for Kubfu, and a clean round there for 7F. Only 1 victim down.
Yeah, I mean, I think 7F, even though they're on defense, they still have the attacking mindset, and they just use their aggression to their advantage, and they're able to tear the members of TFT completely to shreds, pick them apart straight away from beginning to end. No room for breathing for the side of TFT. They were suffocated in their own attacking half, right? Got no opportunity to break through, and it's put 7F in such an advantageous position going into this bye round.
Next round to be in soon. Seems like TFT are going with a bit more of an aggressive approach here up that B long area. Lark going to be the one receiving the drone. Isn't going to be caught out by Jinwoo Sheriff just yet. Focus down. Mosh Pit does delay a little bit. Lark getting a bit sneaky. Nefarious here with the Stinger. Lots of damage done onto 2 members here, both on single-digit health points, but not enough to kill them. Kubfu may get Glaceon off screen. This aggressive 4-man push is either going to be very successful or a colossal failure, depending on who is the next victim. It is indeed the former, as 7F is there to answer the call. A huge slaughter.
Yeah, 7F, they are brimming with confidence right now. They only lost 1 player in that exchange, and they've kept themselves of quite the nice arsenal in their back pockets, right? TFT, yes, we're going into the conversion now with 5 rifles in their inventory. They can bite back, but with how well 7F are playing, they are quite the force to be reckoned with. And as far as it's looking right now, 7F are just taking this momentum and riding it all the way through to the end.
What's going to be done now? Waddle's Outlaw in hand. Taking an aggressive angle alongside Corsa through showers. TFT are kind of alternating here, going towards them once again, that B area opposite of 7F. Still have 2 members here of TFT who want to try and fight the pushes of showers, but Waddles gets 1 to Glaceon. Zaphis is being carefully watched here. 2 members down from 7F off screen. Still have Zaphis alone here. Here's the reload. Might willing to go aggressive into 2 of them, but now that he knows there's 2, he's going to be a little bit more patient, a little bit more composed. He's going to be throwing out some thorn set to slow down the push. Lark is called off. So much damage done, but not the kill just yet for Slicings. Oh, it's such a dicey fight. But Bark knows how low he is, and he's going to be a little bit careful. Try and take the timings just right, but this time Slicings finishes the job.
That they do, you know, quite the formidable exchange from both sides. And now what looked like it was going to be in 7F's favor is now all of a sudden in a 2 versus 2 scenario. Waddles is on low HP, but they are going to be trying to go for a bit of a pincer play, but Slicings read them like a book, and it's all up to Waddles. 30 HP with a Spectre in hand. The chances are slim, but there is a chance nonetheless. Can they do it? Yes. Well, no, they cannot.
Good reaction there from Zappis.
Zappis just caught them on the timing, decimated them, and TFT get themselves around on the board on that conversion to be expected.
Yeah, thankfully no third round locked in there for 7F, even if it was a little bit ambitious. You know, you saw a lot of aggressive attempts there, and to success to a degree, right? Had multiple kills there from both Waddles and Cubfu on the other side. But thankfully the rest of TFT staying disciplined and able to punish off screen. Really good damage done. Really good damage done from 7F on the TFT, to be honest. I mean, the economy is still good enough to where most of them will have rifles still, but still, economy in the favor of 7F. With that kill contract available, maybe waiting for the right moment to isolate into an advantage. They're taking the time with it. A default call here from TFT. With Bark, Outlaw in hand. Expecting aggressive, E-long approaching. Not going to be it. They're waiting. Eager for a pick to come out here. Jinwoo procs the dash, take a little bit extra space. Walk past his teammate Sheer. Waddles is on a high angle. Maybe unexpected hit.
Yeah, they might be able to catch them off guard. You know, Waddles playing a bit more of that off angle. You know, not typically where you normally see them, right? On top of triple. This is going to be very interesting. Sorry, pocket. Sorry. And so if TFT do not expect this, it's going to cause a lot of damage. But with those double smokes coming out, Waddles might have been able to spot Jinwoo right there. Oh, Slicings gets Cubsu with the guided salvo, but Waddles was able to find Glaceon in the chaos, and Corsa has been forced out before they get singed, and they get 2, get 3, with Odds able to find a 4th, but it's all up to Zappis in a 1 versus 2 situation. Clutch moments again for Zappis. Can they come out on top? The spike is in the hands of 7F right now. They have got an uphill battle to climb, and it's only getting steeper with that sky smoke coming down, but they've successfully managed to get themselves onto site. Windman coming out, trying to see if they can get any info. With only 7 seconds left on the clock, it's a bit of a dicey one. 4 seconds left. I don't think they've got enough time now. They know that. Now they lose the round. A valiant attempt coming out. Bark just going to offer themselves up on a silver platter. And 7F are finding themselves 3 rounds away from taking map number 2 and sending us to the 3rd and final decider in this last series.
That is a heroic 2K there from Corsa. Heroic play. Huge impact there. Getting those 2 kills off the angle, a player we expect to be so clutch and so valuable for this team. Now acting up finally in this map. A little bit more of a quiet map he's had so far, but that is the magic we need from a player like him. Enough to get a huge, huge round here for 7F. Momentum is left to try and continue, I guess. You're going to have to hope that this Outlaw from Waddles throws value, and it does. A wallbang onto Glacier does a lot of damage, and Jinwoo gets caught off here by Corsa. And takes down that initiative duelist here. Slicings as well is caught. Spike is down as well. Corsa's going to be aware. Zappis on the other side. Down goes Slicings. And Zappis is now forced to try and take more space, but so much util's being thrown. Corsa on the other side. He has to be so worried here. Is Glacier going to be enough? No. Already damage from the Outlaw. Taken down again by Waddles. Back-to-back wallbang Outlaw shots. Unfortunately, too much to bear, as the spike is essentially on a platter in front of 7F. Zappis, though, may take down Corsa. 1 contribution made, 2 versus 4. What can they do here? Zappis alone takes the peak solo and falls. Zeno just with the Sheriff, gets caught, gets spammed. He is going down.
Yeah, no hope for Zeno to come out of that.
No.
It all starts with 1, but nothing more than that, as Cubfu was able to secure themselves 3 in that round. TFT, you know, started off strong, but Slicing's getting caught by that kill contract, forced that spike to get dropped, and I don't think we've seen Cubfu lose a single, 1 versus 1 in that, kill contract domain. They've always come out on top consistently, and it's proven to make such a huge impact, right? Timeout coming up coming out from the side of TFT, and to be honest, it's very much needed. 7F are 2 rounds away from taking map number 2, whereas TFT are very much far away from finding any grasp of victory right now.
Yeah, I think one thing that TFT are struggling to deal with at the moment is that ISO there of Kubfu. Not only has he got that absurdly high KD, but he's able to isolate these guys so cleanly, so efficiently. And those 1v1s are not what you want to face here. A good effort, though, from TFT. They've pulled up a decent fight, but they're starting to lose that train of consistency here. So now it's up to them to figure out a strategy to get the momentum back in their favor. You have a lot of ultimates in their hand. Orbital Strike, Steel Garden, and Armageddon, all options here to be used. Showstopper, a good choice for the retake from Waddles. I wonder how this is going to be utilized here from both sides.
Yeah, I wonder if the timeout's going to be able to do anything for the side of TFT, right? It's very important that they, take the time to, recompose themselves. They have got 3 ultimates, 4 almost coming aligned with the side of Jinwoo, getting that Blade Storm, right? On the side of 7F, they've only got that Showstopper. Yes, the Thrash is nearly online, but still a little bit far away, with 2 ultimate points, needing to be gotten. And Waddles is just going to go straight away with the aggression, but Jinwoo is going to just make a quick dash out of there to safety, keeping their life intact. Bark is going to get caught by the Stealth Drone, and oh my goodness, Waddles is going to go for Operation Flying Squirrel, and it's going to allow Bark to capitalize on the aggression, and all the members of TFT are starting to fall, but Kung Fu is going to get caught by that special delivery. They're going to get themselves wrapped up into the grave, and the numbers are even Stevens right now, and Slicing is not going to be able to connect fully onto Corsa. Dancing feet coming out from the side of 7F right now. And now as the Armageddon is coming out, Hazard takes out Zeno on the flank, and all of a sudden Slicing has got one option, and that's to sprint over to B site. But with that Stim Beacon coming out, Brimstone is also going to be making the way on the side of Hazard. Corsa running over. That spike is going to get planted, and now 7F have to really coordinate this. Corsa is going to have to play for their life, to provide intel for Hazard, but Slicings is probably going to be catching them unaware unless Hazard clears this angle stupendously well. You're going to need to time it well. Not too quick on the trigger. Now it's all up to Corsa. Can they clutch it? They've done it time and time again, but with how little HP they have in comparison to Slicing, these guided salvos can do some serious damage. They have no opportunity to falter. The shoulder was spotted. Corsa is going to tap it. They're going to try and bait it. Can they do anything? No, they can't. And it's a clutch victory for Slicings, and TFT are keeping themselves in the game.
Yeah, you had a bit of a question on how Slicings wanted to approach that, With that plant going down, knowing you took so much damage, you saw the spark over the boxes of triple. You knew how much damage Corsa had taken there, and that was enough to maybe give Slicings more options. You could have maybe seen a more aggressive approach. After knowing where Hazard was behind him and having run away, he's going to be running around back either into that into that short area or around that long back angle. And Slicings took the careful approach, held one clean angle, waiting for that one player back. With the missiles in hand to be ready, it was enough. Bark with the spam on the next round here, instant kill onto Jinwoo. Unfortunately, not having the game he's been wanting so far. Not able to make the most of the aggressive playstyle he's got. 7F, they're starting to figure him out a little bit. And that gives a disadvantage very early into this round for Tech Fleece Troopers. And you also have a crossfire in this straw area. Is that going to be the big deficit here? As Judge not checked here from Zeno. But the Annihilation catches one. Is that going to be caught out? Out comes the Thrash. Slicings takes away the guard here, but Hazard's still taken down. Glaceon needs to push, but he's blinded by the Dizzy. Is the spray there? Gets one, but Bark on the Classic gets the next. It's Zaphis alone. You still have that Arc Rose, you still have the Thorns and the Steel Garden. How are you going to utilize this? The wall is down. What do you do?
This is quite the uphill battle that Zaphis have got going. Oh, and Thrash coming out again. It doesn't even matter. Yeah. Oh, out comes a knife. A little bit of BM is what we like to see.
Watching. Come on, Bark.
7F. In quite spectacular fashion, put themselves onto map point, and it is very much looking like we're going to be going to a map 3. Look at the economy that TFT have got right now. Yeah, it is pretty poor.
I mean, you are hinging on this Jinwoo glass operator here.
Yeah.
Question is, are 7F going to clock it again and just mop the floor again? We'll have to wait and see here. Still have the Steel Garden in possession, which could be a huge boon for them. Have to remember that. Are they going to be playing around that? I wouldn't be surprised if they do. Maybe try and play for picks with that operator. They're not. They're going for a highly aggressive push here from both sides, and unfortunately TFT are not going to be the ones to make the most of it. They are the victims of this push. Zeno though, clean shots. What a reaction from him, even while hit with a little bit of a blind there, able to still hit those beautiful 1-2 taps, and that might flip the script. Still a numbers deficit here, but you can see 7F. They're weary of that potential push up through B. Jinwoo hasn't revealed that he has the operator in hand yet. How are 7F going to approach this? Are they going to find out the easy way or the hard way? Whether they know or not, they're taking their time.
Yeah, and I'm just worried if a little bit too much time is being taken right now. Operator shot being given away, right? And now you can see that the members of 7F are starting to make their way over towards B site. Jinwoo, I do fear that a little bit too much time has been taken. I mean, they're both by the teleporter, but Jinwoo is going to capitalize and catch Kubfu off guard. Now, this has given a really strong opportunity, but Hazard has got a really strong flank. Are they going to make their way over to B side? 30 seconds left on the clock. They've got an option to rotate to A, but I don't think they're going to opt for that. But Corsair has successfully snuck over onto B side for free, and down goes Jinwoo. Oh, and down goes Corsair in a trade. Zeno is caught by the haunt, and that's all Hazard needs to send 7F and TFT to map number 3 in this best of 3 series. We are going the distance, Shiba, on our lower finals.
May have been a bit of a slow ending towards the map, but that being said, this was a great map to show for 7F here. As we mentioned before, a team of veterans who have multiple times, a lot of these players have played on teams that have won championships on Bind, and they have proved in that with that performance there on Bind enough to get it through, to cancel out one of the X factors of TFT. I think that was one of the big reasons why they managed to claw out that win. Granted, the rest of TFT played very well. Zeno towards the late half of the game was doing very good, landing some crazy shots in that last round as well. Could have been the difference maker to end it differently, but unfortunately not able to win that last round there. That being said though, we're going into Haven, a map where I think there is a lot more options for both sides. Again, a very operator heavy map. Jinwoo magic could happen again. So is this going to be another close OT? We'll have to wait and see, guys. This series is extremely, extremely hype. So I hope you guys grab your snack and don't go anywhere for a long time. You'll come back very, very soon, I hope, because this one is just getting started.
To whoever may need this nugget of encouragement, things will be alright, so quit your worry. I get it, the odds seem stacked back against the wall, but even consider it such, no, you'll stand tall. Sat and watch from the sidelines one too many times. Wicked games we play make me wanna lose my mind. Found solitude knowing it'll be over soon. Ever need a boost, count on me for the 1-2. Trouble don't last when the tough get going. Baby, all we do is win, so show me my opponent. Adversity, doubt, stress, could care less, cause how we handle those like an S on our chest. Super proud of how we held it down on the way up. Can't wait for our day to ball, this is a layup. Nobody ever said this would be easy, but trust when I say that you got it. I know you've been looking for a breakthrough, trying our best to make do. Every day is something new, but change don't come, oh yes it's true. Brighter days are straight ahead. Follow me, won't be misled. Just look up, don't hang your head, and we'll get to the promised land. Somebody loves you, please don't forget such. Take your time, no need to feel rushed. We gon' shine somehow one day. Word to O'Shea, today's been a good day. Don't let one bad apple spoil the tree. The fruits of our labor seem ripe, can't you see? A little insight so they'll never dim your light. right. Been wrong for too long, this here feels so right. Leave your fears in the rear view, right now on the mission. Tryna stay the course on this road to redemption. Giving up seems tempting, but no need. Cause I got you and you got me. A little UNITY will get us by. Through the storm and the rain, I'll be by your side. Look alive, the best has yet to come. Just some words of wisdom, plenty more. I know you've been looking for a breakthrough, trying our best to make do. Every day is something new, but change gon' come, oh yes it's true. Brighter days are straight ahead. Follow me, won't be misled. Just look up, don't hang your head, and we'll get to the promise, yeah. And it may seem like things ain't working out, but I know we gon' find a way without a doubt. Just hold on a little longer, you gon' see this through. I've been there, and certain things always remain true. Ooh, man.
Hello everyone and welcome back from that short little break here at EPIC44 with Intel, sponsored by Asus Republic of Gamers and Overclockers, and we are going to our final map of the lower finals of Saturday night here at EPIC44, right?
Yep.
What a nail-biter of a series we've been having so far.
It's been a great Saturday night, man. It's been a great time. You know, we've had both of these teams really battling it out. TFT knowing why they are one of the strongest Lotus teams in this tournament and proving it so in Map 1. Map 2, 7F, veterans, championship winners who have used this map as one of their biggest assets to their success, proving once again why they are up there, with Haven now becoming the decider. Now, you know, usually it isn't expected for both teams to be super experts on a map like this, considering it wasn't picked. But at the same time, if they're willing to have it open, it means they're very much ready to play.
Yes.
And that's what makes me very excited. We just don't know what these comps are going to run. You could do so many things with Haven once again. Tejo is again another agent that's very strong on this map. I'm curious on what you think of this comp, because I'm very how do I say this? I'm very old schooled with how I would like my Haven comp to be, so I'm not sure if I'm up to date with the most metas right now, but usually for me, I would associate strong Haven metas with some of the lines of a Jet, Breach, maybe a Neon outside of the Jet, depending on what you want to run. Killjoy is easily one of the most popular agents on this map, and with Initiators, pretty mixed bunch, but generally Breach is the most popular, if not Sky, depending on what you kind of want to run. What do you think?
You know, Killjoy is being pretty prominent in these Haven maps, right?
Yeah.
Killjoy, you know, Breach, some teams have run it, some teams haven't, you know, to varying degrees of success, right?
Yep.
We've seen some teams, you know, opt for the Gecko on Haven instead, you know, in substitute for that. I'm fully expecting Corsa to run that Fade once more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of smokes, probably leaning more maybe towards the Astra. So I've seen some teams run Omens, but not many teams are running the, you know, that Brimstone, nor the Viper either.
Another agent I was thinking about that I forgot for a split moment, but we haven't played a map that's involved in for such a long time. Sova. Very, very popular on this map. Almost a must pick, so maybe we'll see Corsa on that one even.
Yeah,
you never
maybe.
know. That being said, though, Fade is a good agent for this map, so we could also see Corsa on his signature Fade, but I feel like if there was any other agent that he would be locking in, it would be that Sova. Very strong agent on Haven. So I think probably most likely one of these teams are going to be locking in the Sova. I'm curious if TFT are going to be sticking around with that 3 defensive core roster, because again, Haven, this could be a decent comp that they're running. Jinwoo on the Jet, very aggressive operator player, good for a map that has those long angles and easy aggressive sight lines you can go into. And with the defensive teams that they have, they might want to swap maybe one of the Sentinels with a Killjoy. Killjoy is just Killjoy, I don't know what else to say to you. But if you maybe run Killjoy Tejo, you can add a countermeasure for somebody who does the same thing as you. Because Killjoy is so essential on this map, but Tejo is also so good at countering Killjoy that you need kind of that balance to make the impact of the opponent's Tejo less of an issue, right?
Yeah.
So maybe we'll see that back and forth. Maybe we'll see that be a mirror. We'll have to wait and see. Omen is really popular, like you mentioned before. Astro is a big option on this map too. I'm so interested because I feel like, again, this map is so versatile with comps. You know, it used to be so strict with the meta, but now that Astro's been buffed and now that Tejo is running amok with everything here, we could even see a Vice. I mean, less likely, but we could. We definitely could. These long angle sightlines do make those arc roses really valuable. And on top of that, the big split, for example, on angles like C-long, like A-long, you could put a devastating share that could end a round instantly.
Yeah, exactly that. I think going into this final map, in terms of the agent select, I think it's going to be very, very versatile, right? I'm fully expecting to see a very different comp that we have been seeing. I feel like if there's going to be any team that's going to be running a very similar comp, I think it's going to be TFT. That, the composition of Deadlock, Teo, Vice has been working really, really well. I feel like the Vice and the Deadlock could be interchangeable with the Killjoy, right? I feel like Slicing is going to be sticking to their Teo, right? They've been looking very, very good on it. Jinwoo, fully expecting to just see them stay on that Jet. I haven't seen them play any other agent, and they've just been, you know, showing their prowess on Jet and why they're really good. Unfortunately for, you know, the previous map in Bind, they didn't exactly have the greatest of showing. So hopefully they, you know, they pick up their confidence and show that aggressive play style that they were showing on Lotus. If not, then it's going to be a bit of a dicey situation for Jinwoo to get that value, right?
Yeah, I think one of the big things that we noticed for 7F towards that B area is that, granted, not only were they, as expected, a very strong, experienced team on these skills, but they found many ways to counter that raw aggression off of Jinwoo, who is one of those star surprising factors for this TFT team. I wonder how TFT are going to adapt to the adaptation of 7F against this aggressive Jet, because he is an indispensable asset here. And with the comps coming through, agents that coming through, we are seeing 3 of probably the most common agents you would expect here. on the side of TFT. No Teho hovered here for slicings yet. We see the Sova, Killjoy off of Zaphis, and the Omen here from Xeno, Jinwoo on his signature. We expect that. Glaceon. Now, this is interesting. Are we going to be seeing a secondary niche, Sentinel? We will see it hovered. Nothing locked just yet. But on the other side, 7F are hovering the Yoru here onto Bar.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a nice pick. I mean, we've been seeing Yoru being picked up a lot, more so in pro play. Hopefully, we get to see a Dirk clone. Who knows? I mean, Yoru is being a very good agent. But like you said, Corsa looking more like they're going towards a Sova. I think with how Sova is on this map, very, very good agent. Just a very standard, safe agent to play. Hazard looking like they're going to be, going over onto Cypher. But what we're seeing is, a few changes in terms of who's playing what agents. Waddle's the duelist player, looking like they're going to be picking the Omen potentially. Yeah. But on the side of TFT, each of the members are playing all the roles that they're very, very comfortable with. Cubfu going to be going back onto their ISO. They've been playing really, really well. Those kill contracts finding huge values. And TFT looking to go for a bit more of a standard cookie cutter comp. Right, yeah. Nothing too out of the ordinary other than the Vice, making that little stretch. And then 7F, they're going to be locking in their agents. ISO, Cypher, Omen, Yoru, and Sova. A nice composition on the side of 7F. A few role changes, from a couple of players, but nothing that we should be too worried about.
Yeah, Waddles, although a very strong duelist player, is more exclusive to that Neon play. They were a very strong Neon player back in the meta when she was really popular to play back in EPIC43. But now in 44, he's kind of backed off a little bit to a duelist and smoker fill hybrid. And honestly, he still does a job really solidly. So not surprised to see him still picking the Omen. He did play Astra a while ago in the last series against TFT. So I'm not surprised to see him locking on that Omen. With the comp coming through here from TFT, it's very expected. The only difference that we see here is that instead of seeing a second Initiator or a second Duelist, we are seeing that Vice coming in for that double Sentinel comp here. So slicings on that Sova, like we said, an agent that's almost a must pick at this rate, coming through here for TFT. Alongside Corsa on his Sova, another one of his signature agents. If there are any agents that he's really strong in, it's those two, man. And I'm really excited for how this series is going to pan out. How will this end? Here we go into Haven with 7F on the offense.
Yeah, now we're going into our final pistol round start for 7F on the attack. How is this final game going to be playing out? And already Bug trying to go for that fake clone, but Zaphis is not going to have any of it. A good valiant effort. I like to see it. And Zaphis is going to pick up a second for themselves, and they're going to be picking up a ghost in the process. And Waddles is falling, and all the kill feeders lighting up greed. As course is going to find one, but it doesn't even matter. They've left Cubfu into 1 versus 4.
Sorry, what?
Not even a chance for them to fight back.
You can't try a Darker Clone on the first round, 7F. Come on, man. They're not that gullible. Do you forget who you're against? They beat a map off of you, man. You gotta at least sell the fake first before letting it out. But that's hilarious there from Buck. I mean, cool, a brave attempt. Maybe hoping to psych them out a little bit, thinking, oh, they wouldn't do it first round, surely, right? But no, that unfortunately has left them a pretty heavy concession on this first pistol round here. As not many losses were conceded here for TFT. Only one going down there in Glaceon on the Vice. Everyone else still alive and kicking with their old guns there. Glaceon taking Jungwoo's Sheriff, and Jungwoo in position to use that Outlaw to take first blood onto Corsa.
What a good start for TFT, right? Going into the buy round, it's expected. Outlaw is such a powerful weapon. Marshall and Outlaw, so strong. Hazard's going to tag them, but Jungwoo's just got the better gun. Doesn't even matter they got tagged first. They're just going to be taken out. Oh, with the teleport and the flash coming out. Jungwoo is going to be falling down to the hands of Bark, and an Outlaw is going to be going into their back pocket right now. So there's a little bit of bite that they can use to fight back. Well, but Zaphis just catches Cubfu and Barrett completely unawares and just sprays for a lovely little 3K. Nice little way to close out the round. TFT, going by the book in terms of how the rounds are going to be playing, but what a nice little play from Zaphis right there.
Yeah, nice clean 3K from Zaphis, starting this off 6-0. The main Sentinel player here for TFT. But, I mean, that attempt from Jin Woo, that was brave. Taking 2 sheriff shots through the wall, leaving you to 1 more shot left without a wall bang to get you killed, and still daring to take the peak anyway. That is some brave, admirable aggression. And on the contrary, a good play from Bark. A great way to counter that raw aggression there. Maybe we could have seen a smoke placed down there from Jin Woo to maybe slow down the force a little bit, but thankfully, it still worked out in TFT's favor to secure that 2-0. Now it's up to them to convert into a 3rd round win, take away from this bye round and claim even more prestigious weaponry. Slow push here through that easy garage area here for 7F. As after seeing that notification come through of the alarm bot, they're going to be backing away. Rotation with Hazard alone on that mid B lurk.
Yeah, now with that lurk coming out, the teleporter's going to get prepped and ready. Paranoia going to be used, and that's Bark getting in there onto A long. And now the members of the side of 7F are starting to make a quick dash over to A, but TFT are going to be responding intact. Slicings with the shock bolt trying to stall and deny. Jinwoo with a nice lovely little off angle on top of the box. Right, if any members of 7F decide to make their way forward, they're going to be faced with some heavy hitting bullets right into their chest. Oh, but Slicings is going to get spotted.
Look at all of this minuscule damage out here from 7F. 3 members have lost around 10 HP, including one who's under half. Suddenly, this outlaw from Jin Woo is a ginormous threat to them. If he can get there in time before the space is claimed, this could be really good here for TFT. Glaceon is trying to slow down the push, Zeno trying to slow down the push too, but Waddles through that window onto Garage, takes down Zaphis, Hazard with 2 of his own, daring to take the aggression for himself. Jin Woo though wants to change things, gets 1 kill with the Outlaw, and loves to switch into this Bulldog. A lot of HP dealt to Corsa, the others are relatively low. That 1 switch into the bait and switch is there, and thankfully for 7F, they still stay alive and don't concede a 3rd round.
Really, really well played by 7F there. You know, going into that conversion round, you know, only losing 2 members, you know, a really, really good start for them. And now it's a good opportunity for them to make their way back into the game. And we see that Junwoo is going for their classic operator glass cannon choice of arsenals, right? Are they going to be finding themselves a lot of value? I mean, they're opting to hold into Garage. You know, a bit of a different place that you normally see Jets holding, right, with the operator, but it might just be the spice that TFT might need to throw 7F off guard. But with that spy cam set in play, you know, that surprise is completely gone. That recon bolt, finding a lot of value, and, you know, it's just going to give a lot of information, and TFT, they're not going to be rushing over to site. Not just yet. Now 7F are starting to make their way. Kubfu popping that double tap. Oh, and are they going to find one? Yes, they are. Things going to kick off with 7F leading the charge with Bark and Waddles. Zaphis. Oh, going to find one onto Waddles after the smoke dissipates. Can they find a second?
Oh, you fair Corsa in these 1v1s. Shock Dart deals a little bit of tech damage. More onto Glaceon. Is he aware of Zaphis' advance? No, he's not! And that's a huge isolation done through, but Hazard clean on the 1-tap onto Glaceon. It's bound to a 1v1 now. But so much util is in Hazard's possession here. He's got a lot of time as well. 45 seconds on the clock. Who finds the right timing? It is Zaphis. Ooh, calm and collected. Even went back down to 1v1 after securing the advantage himself. He does not care. He is ready to commit to those wins and get the right angles. It is done for TFT. 3-1 now in their favor. What a good KD start from Zaphis as well. 9-1. This guy is activated this round.
Yeah, 9-1 start, especially on defense. Other than Killjoy, getting that lockdown up and running so quickly. We're going into round number 5, and they've already got a lockdown prepped and ready. You know, lockdown, quite an expensive ultimate to get, right? A huge amount of value, and the fact that they've got it this quickly is really, really good. They've got a lot of options to play with, but 7F, they've also got plenty of options for themselves as well. 4 ultimates, that dimensional drift just coming online for the side of Bark, right? Using the opportunity to find the information, the kill contract. Not finding one. It's going to be finding Zeno as Bark and Kubfu take out a member each. And it's all down to 3 more members of the side of TFT. Zappis starts off the clutch. Starts the retake.
Spike planted.
Down goes one. Hazard finding Jin. Oh, and Zappis is going to be finding the barrel of a Bucky shoved down their throat and riddled with bullets. And 7F pick themselves up another round, keeping it close
Yes.
at the start of the round.
Smacked in the face with a bullet pie from that Bucky, man. Good effort there from TFT on that retake, but unfortunately Hazard is quick on the draw, hitting some lethal sheriff shots there to take down Jinwoo. The potential on the operator is gone. Look at this. What is this financial decision coming in here from TFT? You're going for a bit of a sheriff half buy with a glass off on Jinwoo? This is ambitious. I wonder if they're maybe going to be using the Blade Storm into the next buy, or maybe going into a double eco round perhaps. Very interesting buy here coming from TFT, and it does not pay off at all here. Hazard countering an op with an op of his own, taking down not one but two here. Zafis as well is to fall. You've got Slicings with the classic. Lucky with a lot of space, but Zeno is just blind and dead. Not really able to do anything except be a sitting duck. Looking pretty with his eyes blinded. I really wonder what Slicing to do outside of just claim the op and just pray to God that he can't get found by anyone.
Yeah, I'm very questioning the decision from Jinwoo to pick up that operator, right? They were going to get the ultimate either way. I don't think they need to invest, 4,800 credits into this round. I think they were better off saving the money going into next round and buying for a teammate, but that money has just gone to waste. They gambled their winnings and they've just gone thus, right?
Well, it might not be all for naught, as Slicing still has the op, so hopefully he doesn't get caught. Suppression. Or Slicing is not as quick as the draw as his partner, and that turns into a flawless with a ginormous gamble. Like you said, now at tremendous loss.
Yeah.
Tremendous loss, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, God, I don't know if you can hear behind us, but there's
violence screaming from, I believe, the Counter-Strike players. I don't believe there's any other VALORANT matches going on.
There is some chanting going on in the crowds behind us. Which game it is I'm pretty sure, like you said, it's probably Counter-Strike more than likely. I've been hearing in the other prod areas. It's a bit of a hype game, but that does not even matter, because we're talking about VALORANT right now. 3 ultimates on both sides a piece. Heather keeping that operator in hand. Are they going to do just as much damage as they were able to in the last round?
Comes the Blade Storm here from Jinwoo with Zeno on an angle on top of the box. Go for a bit of an open double angle if someone goes for aggressive through, but out comes the Hunter's Fury here from Corsair, and he catches out Glaceon. Invaluable utility here on this C garage area. Completely nullified here. As Hazard still has that operator on attack, ready to catch a road, and unaware Jinwoo. That in turn is prompting a response here. Another Hunter's Fury here from Slicings, and he does catch one onto Corsair and does a lot of damage onto Kufu, enough for Zeno to finish the job. Lockdown now invested here from Zafis. Plant is guaranteed to be down though. How is this going to be played around for 7F? You have the operator popped here on Hazard, and Bark, beautiful kill onto Zafis just before the lockdown is done. And with the TP as well. Waddles now has a lot of space to join his teammate as he takes down Zeno. Slicing's on his own with Phantom in hand. Clutch is possible. I'm not sure if he can. Has with that op. Any punish in time? No. Waddles has his back. Even if he wins the fight, it's over. 7F now take the lead.
Yes, that they do. They played that really, really well. Bart got a lovely headshot onto Zafis there as the lockdown was going down. A very, very bold opportunity to try and take and get a kill, but my God, did it pay off. And now the timeout is going to be coming out from TFT in this first half. At a good time. TFT were in the lead initially, but now 7S have overtaken them. So trying to stop that momentum as quick as possible is exactly what TFT need to try and do. But is this timeout going to be enough for them?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Can't really look into the minds of them so far. It seems like it's been a pretty decently close series. I'm curious on what's prompted the timeout here. Perhaps a call for a difference in playstyle or strategy kind of generally throughout the map, perhaps? Or maybe they've figured something out from 7F that they might be able to capitalize on. Remember, one of the big things that we were worried about in the previous map was Kufu's ISO. Able to do really good work to isolate those fights and win those kill contracts. Now that you see that kill contracts available, maybe that's one of the talking points here for TFT, unless they're maybe opting to rotate some positions. Maybe some changes in the financial philosophy. There will be Jinwoo to get rid of that operator and switch into that Marshal, with everybody here saving with the Sheriffs.
Yeah, the arsenal for 7F is just so good right now, right? On paper, 7F are taking this round. They're going to be taking a 5-3 lead, right? But, anything can happen at LAN. We've seen upsets, we've seen miracles happen. Is it going to be taking place right here, right now? Kill contract coming out right now. Glaceon is going to be the one taken into the realm of death as Kubfu is keeping their streak alive, and Bark is successfully going to be able to TP into the back whilst Corsa gets the elimination, and Slicing is going to take down Bark for themselves. Hazard is just doing absolute bits with this operator. He's yet to be challenged off of it.
And that's very funny to hear when you have a team, when you have a player like Jinwoo on the other side. But yeah, that being said, this just seems all but over here.
Enemy remaining.
Hazard is just roaming around, just slaying everybody like it's Call of Duty. Guy's trying to play quick scoping. That intervention. Oh, Cino, okay! Picks one up himself and gets a kill onto Kubfu after taking down Hazard. But maybe there's a good chance to go for the save, but is he going to be able to value here? Is Hazard going to be ready? Or TP on Waddles. Oh, nice punish there from Zeno. But he knows that he's not going to be able to win this round, and I think Corsa is a bit hesitant to commit to this fight. He's going to be staying around just outside the back, maybe considering a flank, but Zeno is long gone. This is a clean save, and a good save for him, honestly.
Yeah.
Getting that operator safe and sound is exactly what you want in this situation when you're in an eco buy. Getting an eco of very low money or only sheriffs into an operator, very, very much worth the save.
Yeah, good amount of damage dealt to the side of 7F.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not enough to break their bank too much, right? But it's just done enough to keep TFT, healthy in the game, right? If TFT take this next round, it's going to be a much better outcome for them because they won't have to force to save. But 7F, they can, squander this round and still have that fighting chance going into the next round. Yeah. But with how 7F are playing right now, I don't even know if it matters.
I wonder how this is going to play out here. It's taking a lot of early space to come in the mid area to establish some information. Operator revealed to be in the hands of Jinwoo as he rotates down to A. Seems like TFT generally are making the right read here. Jashir is activated, forcing to S7F to take a little bit more time into this. You have that neural theft in the hands here of Hazard. Afu, get the pick onto Glaceon. And that's taking a lot of space already. In heaven here. St. John Woo gets a shield break, but not the kill. But finally, kill onto Corsa. Bark gets one to Slicing, but Zafis bounces back with two of his own. Unfortunately, that momentum shut down by Waddles quickly afterwards. Zeno's there to trade, and it's turned into a 2 versus 1. Hazard with the operator in hand. We've seen how deadly that can be. He's against another deadly operator player himself. It's going to be a draw, almost like a cowboy showdown at this point. But except you still have one player you have to worry about. Like how defensive TFT are playing. They are okay with giving Hazard this space. Do you think this is the good choice here?
I mean, looking at Jinwoo, right? Scoped, ready with the angle. Are they going to be...
Oh, who wins it? It's Jinwoo. Who else, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Hazard, they had the Cyber Cage, in the inventory. Could have used it as an opportunity to base out the op shot so they could pick up the spike. But, Hazard opted for the dry peak. They're 10-6 right now. They're probably feeling confident, but unfortunately, they bit off a little bit more that they can chew, and they met the demise at the hands of Jinwoo.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm straight. Jinwoo still showing why he is one of the strongest top players in this tournament. Outperforming Hazard, who honestly, he's so good. I don't know how he's so willing to play this operator on the attack. It's a very unique style that you see very, very rarely in these tournaments. But
who's next?
Strong gimmick that's been successful nonetheless. Here. Now comes the dimensional drift here. Bark, known to give so much value here on the Yoru. Finds one, finds two, finds 4 members of TFT. And the decisions here for 7F go with a lot more confidence. They are gladly going to be taking this site, knowing they can press this retake. Bark! Beautiful timing on the flash, gets 2, but he is taken away swiftly by Slicings. A spam through the smoke takes down Kubfu, and it's a 3 versus 3. Drone out from Slicings to kill out more space.
Wow. What an exchange that was. A really good information gathered by Bark right there. Finding 4 members and managing to get 2 for themselves, but TFT responded in turn. And now as they're playing for a retake, Waddles just absolutely decimates them, and it's all up to Jinwoo. Position given away as they're trying to wallbang, and they get a lovely little headshot right onto Waddles, but Hazard with the operator is more than enough force to take down Jinwoo. And 6-4 is going to be the scoreline that 7F are going to be rocking as we're going into the penultimate round of this first half.
Just to quickly say off topic, that flick from Jinwoo was kind of sick.
Yeah.
That was a nice and rapid one there. The guy clearly plays a lot of aim labs. But good on the guy, man. Unfortunately for CFT though, it's not coming out too much to their success. Although they did manage to claw out a round beforehand, 7F still seem to keep that momentum in their hands. Audrey from Glaceon here, not having a good game for himself. 0-9 at the moment. Audrey being counteracted very much by the aggression here of 7F. That Yoru is definitely a big play into that one, right? Having that raw aggression, not having to worry about going through the shield, walking through the thorns. You've got the TP to instantly counteract it. On the C site now, Jinwoo with the operating hand, fucking the dash. And as the smoke comes down, he chooses not to pull the trigger. And as it lines up, Park clean through the smoke. So ready to just commit to that shooting.
Yeah.
Vandal in hand, that could have been a big risk onto an operator like Jinwoo. But thankfully it works out here for himself, and has a lot of space established here for 7F as they decide to commit to the site here. Kill contract in the hands of Cub. Shield activated early on here. May give a tell, and this might get popped again. Is he going to do it? Steel Garden invested here from Glaceon and forces the entirety here of 7F to retreat. The TP as well slows things down here, but Corsa and Bark don't care about it at all. They still manage to succeed and take them all down. It is just one of Xeno alone. And with the plant coming down, it's almost guaranteed to be the round for 7F.
Yeah, I mean, if 7F lose this round, I don't know what kind of magic Xeno is going to be pulling out of that hat of theirs, but I think they're out of tricks at this round.
Oh yeah.
I think it's going to be a 7-4 lead for 7F going into that last round. Hazard's got the operator staring down the alleyway of Ceylon. Like there's no opportunity for Xeno to actually make a play right now. So their best option is what they're exactly doing right there, is to save.
Yeah.
I mean,
doing exactly that.
Yeah, I mean, they have got From the Shadows if they really need to invest it to try and book it out of there, but I don't think they need to. I mean, Hazard might be one of the exit frags that Xeno is able to get, or is Kubfu going to be the first one? Spot the barrel, gets one. Are they going to accommodate for the Hazard being behind? 1 second left on the clock, and that's all they got. I mean, Xeno was lucky to just get out with their life right there.
Yeah. Wow, that could have been a lot of potential to be really dangerous there. Losing a lot of economy. And although 7F have so much money, it's starting to wind down just a little bit here. But once again, unfortunately, one thing that I wanted to actually think about here, Glacier unfortunately not having the best match for themselves, one thing I wanted to ask, that Steel Garden somehow still gave 2 members of 7F that I would have assumed wouldn't have been able to escape it in time no weaponry. Still had the weaponry. They still had the Vandals. I'm surprised. Maybe I misread the position of Glaceon where he was, but I would have assumed that would have been immediately completely done for. They'd be forced to commit to fights with worse weaponry, but doesn't seem to be the case there. I wonder what happened there. I might have to look back on the VOD to take a look at that one, but regardless of that, next round, next fight, one more round before we go into the half switch. And fortunately for TFT, 7F have some really deadly ultimates that can just mitigate even any kind of gain. And that is the kill contract. The weaponry from Slicings is absolutely minute, but he wins it anyway! Stinger against the Vandal! How on earth do you win that? That's the first time we've seen Kubfu lose!
Yeah, and they lost in quite the fashion. That's gonna no pun intended, but that one's gonna sting. Yeah. Hazard, connecting to the knees of Glaceon,
Lost the kneecaps.
Yeah, lost the kneecaps, took an arrow to the knee, or should I say a 50 cal bullet. Right, Dimensional Drift coming out from the side of Bark, trying to find some information. Are they going to be finding as much value as they did last time? Yes, they are. About 2 seconds left on that Dimensional Drift before they need to get out. Waddles cut off by that shear. Also, is going to be faking that plant. Yep, going to be baiting out that Hunter's Fury, and they've done it very, very well.
Well done.
No value found, and now they've got a free plant going into this final round.
Time is ticking. We've got a 5-man retake coming up soon. Xeno has that From the Shadows active. That is also in the possession here of Hazard. Big spam there from Zaphis. Bark is very, very low. Forced to tank the scan, and he does take it down. Jinwoo! 2 shots with the Guardian on the head, and maybe even a third to come through. No, it's Waddles who wants more of himself, but it's not going to happen. That 2 kills from Jinwoo was huge on the Guardian there. Very nicely done through the garage area, enough to give TFT the last round of the half in their succession.
Yeah, and 7F, they're finding themselves a 7-5 half once more. We saw how it played out in Bind, but TFT, I think there's a bit more semblance of hope for them going into this second half of our final map of the series today. And with how things are playing, honestly, it could be anyone's game. I'm still leaning more towards 7F, but don't count TFT out just yet. A few of their members have been having a stellar performance today.
Yeah. Some good, consistent performances all around here from everybody.
Oh.
Fortunately, that one little outlier there, gonna have to just hope that revitalizes in the second half. Layton, we've seen incredible play from this guy, so hopefully this is just a fluke on this first half. The second half is the opportunity where we see him activate again.
Yeah. Hopefully, Glaceon has an opportunity to, put themselves on the scoreboard at least.
Good thing is that the rest of his team is not putting them down and still making the most of his utility and still playing very, very well. Clearly, they are not hugely discouraged. They are still working together and doing really good work. So we have to wait and see if that impact makes the most here for TFT.
Yeah, we're going to be having a little bit of a tech pause right now.
Seems like it, yeah.
Don't really know what's going on. I think I saw Corsa's ping just disconnect, for a split second. So just going to be waiting until the problem solves itself. But this is going to give the teams a bit of an opportunity to, to reconvene, recompose themselves, because it is the final. This is the final half of the series, right? And it's really important that both these teams, play their best to, because one of them is going to go to the grand finals and the other one is going to be sent packing home.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've heard from production that one of the players did suffer from a disconnect here. So we are currently trying to get them back into the game, reconnected. But shouldn't take too long, hopefully, with this first stuff coming through. This is a very, very close set still. 7-5, very much still winnable for either side here. I wonder how this aggression is going to be done here for TFT. Usually the main takeaways of the aggression from Sun Jin-woo and the Jet is on that defensive side. I wonder how that's going to be implemented on attack. You're going to be seeing him playing the Vandal a lot more. He'll be forced to be the entry fragger for his team. You don't really have anyone else here on this composition who can do that secondary entry, unlike 7F, who have not only that Yoru in Bark, but also the cover, popping out the shield, popping out the shield that runs out as well, the wall. I wonder how this is going to change and be implemented here. How is Jungwoo going to adapt to this environment? Xaphis has had an incredible map so far, 14-8. And up against the other fellow Sentinel, funnily enough, on the side of 7F, who's also the top fragger of their team, 12-7. Now we have to wait and see on whether or not this will change the pace of the game.
Yeah, we've just got to wait for Xeno to just get back into the game right now. They're looking like the outlier that's disconnected.
Yeah.
I was trying to suss out who it was because everyone was staying so still, and then by the power of deduction, Xeno is that individual that we're waiting on for. But yes, no, it's exactly like you said. It's really the pressure is weighs more on Jinwoo going into this attacking half, right? Like you said, if Jinwoo is gone, their spear into sight completely crushed. It's a very fragile form of attack that TFT are rocking right now. With how utility heavy their composition was, they need to get more value on defense, right?
Yeah.
And with only getting five rounds in that first half, they kind of put themselves on a little bit on the back foot. But that doesn't mean that they're down and out for the count, right? 7F, a little bit more of what I would say is a bit more of an aggressive comp. Like you were pointing out. But 7F play that aggression really, really well. So, that one Sentinel might just be all they need. So it might be a case that TFT, right, thinking back onto Bind, they might just allow 7F to play into their hands. Because with how much utility that TFT have, they can just set up, areas of denial and just stall out time for 7F, to just delay their aggression on the defensive side. Or, even zone them out from various areas. For all we know, TFT might be going for the tactic of just barreling straight onto site, getting all the utility set up in the necessary places that they need to do, and just force 7F to just hang outside of sight before they even have an opportunity to get on. And that's just going to cut down time massively. And I think Xeno has been brought back from the dead and is back in the server.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll see that timer come back down very, very soon. Yep, there we go, straight away, right on cue. Very nicely done. We are ready to go. And thankfully here, we're going to get back into our Haven map here, this time with TFT on the attack. One thing that I wanted to know about the 7F comp is that they are less of an anchoring comp and more of an aggressive retaking comp. Like you said, not only can they run out and take that early space to try and claim a little bit more defensively, but also very much a team capable of backing away and just lobbing aggressive util, with Bark and Kubfu being the first spears of the charge, right? So this is something that I'm a little worried about here for TFT, because their history against 7F is that they struggle against these raw, high-number retakes. 7F are not afraid of going in for that retake. At the same time, one of the things that made TFT win their attack rounds on Lotus was from the isolation here of multiple members. And we're seeing that again here. Jinwoo may get the picker onto Kubfu, and Waddles takes his revenge in spades. Extra lives, 1 soul for 3, says Waddles, as he gets that triple to suddenly thin the numbers drastically in 7F's favor.
Oh my goodness, what an absolute blazing start for 7F in the final piss round of the series. Hazard is going to pick one up for themselves, and it's all up to Glaceon. Can they finally get themselves a kill on the board? No, they are not. That 0 kill streak right now for Glaceon is still holding true, unfortunately. Oh man, that is not a good look if you're Glaceon right now.
It's a tragic situation for a competitor. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, you try really hard to, because, you know, FPS games in nature, you need an ego, you need that confidence to come through. And it's really not like Glaceon is a bad player. We've seen incredible things from this guy. So you just need that spark to come back. You need that fire of confidence to come back. So hopefully we'll get that soon. Hopefully, because they're going to need it, man.
Yeah.
7F are starting to take a role with it, and, you know, this kill difference is starting to tally it up. With Bark with this aggressive space here in the second round. Sheriff still in hand. Spots Zaphis' head, but doesn't opt in to deal the kill shot. There's a lot of damage, though. Kubfu takes a lot more aggressive space with this bulldog. Shield popped after 2, a 3rd, maybe even a 4th here. Glaceon, though, does pop the shield. That's a lot of damage. Maybe this time it's able to counteract it, and there we go. Glaceon finally drops their first blood. Unfortunately, there's no more success after that. 7F only dropped 1 casualty.
Yeah, I mean, hey, Glaceon's back on the board now. Let's go!
Let's go.
But that being said, you know, 7F, they had the better weaponry, and they just used that to their advantage and played so aggressively. Yes, they only suffered 1 casualty, but does not even matter.
It's so free.
Yeah.
With, you know, with Kubfu on that ISO, you can just willingly commit to fights with such low weaponry, and then when you realize, okay, wait, crap, I'm taking a little bit I'm gonna take a bit of damage, or there's a lot more people than I thought. Okay, just back up, pop shield, go back in again, and you'll probably win them anyway. It is a big boon to have on the ISO. And that being said, he's had such a good start to these first 2 rounds. He's already got the kill contract in his hands. He's just going to be able to throw it out very early to continue isolating these players. And especially in a situation where these guys have the better weaponry, these could be huge.
Could be, exactly. I mean, if Kubfu is going to carry on their good streak of kill contracts, they're going to be picking up Xeno. They have got a Vandal in their hand, so a lot of firepower coming out. And no, Kubfu, you know, probably pretty annoyed of losing the last one. So they're going to redeem the kill for themselves, and Glaceon picks one up before they fall to hands of Kubfu once more.
Shield is up, but it's getting spammed. So much damage getting thrown at them from TFT. But the flash from Bark could have been a huge blessing for them, but it's not going to be it. TFT as a trio are so damn ready as Jinwoo gets a second kill on the board. A beautiful opening pick to start the round off, now carrying it on into this ending of the round here. Later stages, 38 seconds remaining with the plant to be secured here for Tech Fleece Troopers, with just Hazard on his own here. A player who I would say has a big clutch factor, but how brave is this man willing to be? How much space is he willing to take?
We'll have to see, because with a Cyber Cage and a Spy Cam is all they have in their back pocket in terms of utility. They're going to have to be dry swinging a lot of these. They start off with 1. Can they get 2? Yes, they can, but too little HP. And Jinwoo is going to be making swift work out of that one. And Tech Fleet Troopers get themselves 6 rounds on the board to 9 to 7F.
Oh, good discipline from Jinwoo, who we usually say doesn't need discipline, but that was a scary moment there. Hazard with the clean 1-2. That double peak almost went to disaster. Could have been a 1 versus 3 clutch had Jinwoo swung a different time, a different way. They did that clean jiggle peak, focused on using the wallpaper mache to make the most of the damage. And it worked out, thankfully, for him. TFT, 6 rounds now. Opting to try and get that 7th. Momentum back into this game. Even out the playing field. Opening, first blood dropped here. Kubfu's over aggression through mid is going to lead to the failure. Kill from Xeno. Zaphis is aware. Although this time isn't the one, smart enough to commit to that in a safe spot.
That they were. Patiently waiting for the clone to dissipate. And now A little bit of decisions are being made, you know, a little bit of, you know, conversations are happening, and they've been opted to slowly make their way towards Seaside. But what's awaiting for them is a trapwire and a spy cam. That's going to give them as much information as they need, and spy cam is going to get triggered. Oh yeah, nothing of value. Waddles picks one, picks two. Oh, and Jinwoo with the flick onto Hazard's forehead. Makes swift work out of that one. And not going to go down just yet. Is now nice and safely. But how the rest of the round is going to turn out is anyone's game. Oh, Waddles is just going to pick up 3 for themselves. They are making absolute, like, easy work with this outlaw. Takes down, slicing one, and nothing else.
A good attempt there from TFT. They did a lot of damage there, but man, Waddles with the outlaw. So much value coming out of that weapon, and that's going to shut down immediately that previous win from TFT. That's a rough one, man. You had so much opportunity to build up that economy to a massive degree if you won that round. You couldn't do it. You couldn't make that last round valuable here. And in turn, you've had 7F with this win, but also with solid economy to back it up. TFT have little to nothing. Daffis is opting in to go for the full buy with the Vandal, full shields as well. Just the rest of his team, they're going in with either Sheriffs or nothing here. Jinwoo is going to be using that Blade Storm. Lots of ultimates soon to be ready for TFT. So this is going to be one of those rounds where they want to establish that. 2 ultimates with 1 point away. And the Blade Storm is going to be popped here from Jinwoo. Seems like he's going to be running a lone wolf project here. Carrying out, never mind, 2 other members coming out. Here's this aggressive push. How's Jinwoo going to do? Is he going to spot Hazard out in the corner? He does, but can't land the shot. Zaphis with the trade. Good enough to deal a bit of damage here. But it's a back and forth. Waddles again is the undeniable threat here of 7F with this outlaw in his hands. He is too scary to deal with. Zaphis has his attack here, throws out the vulnerability. Forced to commit to a fight, but can't win it. Causer with the shot finishes him off.
Yeah, really, really good round from 7F. It's a very crucial one as well. I mean, before the round started, the economy on the side of TFT, right? Pretty diabolical. I wasn't surprised that 7F took that round, but now TFT are in a position where, you know, it really, really matters, because if they lose this round, their chances of coming back get slimmer and slimmer, and 7F will be 1 step closer to claiming their spot in the grand finals tomorrow. But how this next round plays out is going to be is very essential. It's essentially going to be the final chapter of how the rest of the game is going to play.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, this is a make or break scenario here for TFT, and you know this timeout matters to severe degrees here. You've got a lot of ultimates on their hands. You've got the Storm coming in. You've got the Hunter's Fury. You've got the Steel Garden from the shadows, and they're not too far away from the lockdown too. We have about 1 or 2 orbs left. Daff has got a good amount of kills last round. Maybe that's 1 or 2 orbs away as well. You have the From the Shadows here from Hazard, good enough for a lurking threat. Oh, sorry, from Waddles. I always assume Hazard smokes. Waddles has got that from the Shadows. Good enough to maybe do a bit of a scary lurk with Hazard on that Neuro Theft to stop the mid round and give 7F great positioning after that first skirmish. The economy is a bit in tatters here. TFT.
Yeah, it's really, really important. I mean, TFT, they're having to go for a bit of a Hail Mary. They're going to have to, you know, full buy this. They either opt to save this round and buy next round, but they're opting to buy, and it's not exactly working out that well for them, as Jinwoo is going to be the first one to fall, followed by Slicing, and Waddles is making easy work out of TFT as they get themselves a third. A flash is going to be coming out, and Waddles is going to get 4. Can they get themselves the ace to close it out? No! Corsa is just going to yoink it out of Waddles' hands. It was so close, nearly there, but Corsa had other things to say. Flawless round, and 7F have pretty much got this all in the bag, and TFT, they are running out of options, and fast.
Corsa knows he's one of the only members of his team to get ace in this tournament. He says, I want that title and me alone, like a selfish child, stealing it from his teammate, and that has prompted a timeout for 7F, not of 1 in fear, of 1 in confidence. Let's finish the job.
Yeah, I mean, they're just keeping the pressure on TFT, right? You know, going into what is looking like the final round of this last series today, and I feel like 7F are kind of just toying with their food right now. It's either they're using this timeout to compose themselves for the final round, you know, mentally preparing themselves for that grand final, or they're using an opportunity to throw TFT off guard.
Wonder how this is going to work out here. Now you have the lockdown in the hands of Xaphiz, along with the 3 other ultimates we previously mentioned here for TFT. This is do or die straights. I think what's also quite difficult here for TFT to use with these ultimates is that a lot of these are a lot stronger when you get on the site. If you can't get on the site before that, you're kind of cooked. You need that Steel Garden to either prompt very close into the site, where you already need a lot of space alone, or you need to use it when you're on the site to prevent more momentum in that retake position. 7F do not have any ultimates of severe value just yet. You have that from Charles Waddles, and you have the Hero Theft here. Hazza. Odin thrown out here to spam through the wall. A tiny bit of damage here onto Slicings, but no dice, no severe damage done. The drone comes out. They're going to be doing what I exactly expected they would do. Up to that B site, lockdown is in. And you can see 2 members here taking that position up in heaven. Come through, what a shot onto Xaphiz! And that is a huge deal. Lockdown, although popped, is now gone. Although TFT get on the site, they need to use his ultimate soon. Slicing is going to be popping the bomb and hopefully running for his life. Jin Woo, though, clean shot from the bark. Kung getting trades. Steel Garden is out, but so much damage, so many kills are being dealt out before it pops. And it's seeming more and more dire for TFT. 7F want to get the grand finals done. Jin Woo is down, and so does Glaceon Fall. It is finished, it is done. TFT, although proving to everybody that they are a team to never be messed with, even against favorites of the whole event, 7F prove why they are worthy of going to the grand finals.
Yeah, and you can hear the cheers in the crowds as 7F secure themselves a spot in the grand finals tomorrow. What a spectacular performance from both teams. Congratulations to 7F making the way through a gauntlet of today to land themselves a spot in the grand finals. It was well deserved. It could have been either team, but 7F, they came out on top and they have taken that final spot in tomorrow's grand final.
Yeah, I mean, listen, 7F were always a team that a lot of us expected to be the ones, the leaders, the trailblazers, and although they fell to Willie G Palace in the upper bracket final, anything could happen in the grand finals. This is not going to be like a significant stomp tomorrow with the grands. It's going to be a series to damn remember. And I cannot wait for that. TFT proved that they are worthy once again. Such a great roster, such a great team. Hopefully in the future, they can continue to get that bronze medal once again, as they, again, second time since EPIC44, get the bronze medal on the podium.
That they do, and that is going to be enough from myself and Sheba. So we're here at EPIC44 with Intel, sponsored by Asus, Republic of Gamers, and Overclockers. This Valorant tournament here at EPIC44 has been sponsored by Asus, Republic of Gamers, where they have contributed to our prize pool as well as prizes towards the MVP. And if you haven't already, make sure you are checking out Vector Strike. It is Valorant meets Rocket League. It's a dynamic, physics-driven base game with a unique roster of strikers where you use spectacular moves to showcase your skills in the arena. But that is going to be enough from us tonight. I hope you all rest well for the grand finals taking place tomorrow morning here at Kettering in the KCC. It's going to be an exciting one, and we'll see you later.
See you then, guys.